Good morning and welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwisi Shandov. To a very first story, now there were violent and chaotic scenes at Obrasport Tuesday afternoon as a charged crowd ready to march against the current rising cost of living in the country clashed with police officers. The demonstrators were protesting what they call bad governance, corruption, insecurity, among several other concerns. Under President Akakpo, they insisted on marching through Ring Road Central to the Jubilee House as against a directive for them to use the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue to the Independence Square. The police deployed about 500 officers with an order from the IGP to ensure a smooth event. Manuel Cranton captured the situation.
So what we're seeing currently in a shot are the protesters, some of them throwing and flying stones towards the police crowd control vehicles. Again, as we get closer to the action, you see a heap of car tires that have actually been set ablaze in the middle of the once really motorable space which connected the Kwame Nkrumah section, Kwame Nkrumah interchange section of the road to the Ring Road Central area. Now more and more stones are being flown from the protesters towards the police officers, and more and more stones are being flown from the side of the protesters towards the police officers.
They are throw rubber bullets.
And that's what we have. What they sent to you?
They throw rubber bullets. Yes, it's rubber bullets.
So these are the samples of the rubber bullet that is.
They are the samples of the rubber bullets. Oh, these are the samples.
But we also saw you throwing stones.
They throw tear gas. Look myself. Look myself. This is rubber bullets.
If the police, I listen to me. If the police are scared of terrorist attack infiltrating us, the stupidity they are exhibiting would rather encourage the terrorists, if they are here, to take action. If we do it peacefully, without the stupidity, the terrorists will not have the opportunity to do what they want to do. If their reason is about terrorism attack, the stupidity they are exhibiting. If
you keep mentioning what stupidity and so on, but the police are not allowing you to use it.
The truth is that do you have an agreement?
To lead us, we want to present our grievances.
They said no. Who is the president? We gave it up.
So now I can perceive tear gas, very strong tear gas, which has been fired into the crowd, essentially expected to protest the of course, disperse the crowd, which has actually been charging towards the police officers. Now I hear them chanting, Mumbra, that in Chi translates as come forward if you want.
No.
But why do you want to push towards the police officers?
No, because they are refusing to allow us use the legitimate route we were supposed to use. We are here to register our displeasure on the kind of governance being administered on we the Ghanaian people. Corruption everywhere, unemployment everywhere, high cost of living, high transportation fares, high fuel prices, and we've come here today to register our displeasure. And these police officers, very unprofessional ones.
And so I'm just seeing one of the leaders of the demonstration, Edem Agbana. He's a deputy national youth organizer for the opposition NDC. Mr. Edem Agbana, this is not the demonstration that you promised to organize.
Those who make peaceful demonstrations, okay, those who make it difficult to have peaceful demonstrations, they make violent demonstrations inevitable. We are not the cause of the problem. It is these puppets called the Ghana Police Service being used by Akakpo. We promised a peaceful demonstration and we came in peace. But these hoodlums sent by Akakpo decided to visit violence on us. But we are not intimidated. And that is why some of us are still standing.
But the police says that it's not going to allow you to use this route. I mean, what is so difficult in using another route to press home your
grievance? The police agreed with us to use this route. Now, what changed? Who is the order from above? Is it the cronies and the thieves are the flagstaffers? Who is the order from above?
Madam, I can see some mark here. What
yes. I'm a leader. I I was leading my people to have a positive defiance. I must not leave my people and run away. I was there with them. My phones were taken by the police. I am telling you that it is the police people who stole my 2 phones. I strapped my phone around me. The police took the phones away from me, but I refused to run away. I will not run. I'm here.
Are you still going to be here?
I am here. I am with the people. I am here. You can see I'm still standing.
Thank you, Akakpo is a tyrant. It's a terror president. This is sensitivity must stop.
This man is a murderer man. It's a murderer man. It's a killer.
Akakpo is a killer. It's a killer. This terror president must go. This terror president must go. It's a criminal president.
Record. It should be on record. The Nado who says he's a democratic leader. Look at what he's doing.
He doesn't believe in democracy.
Look at what he's doing. But we can assure Nado one thing.
He doesn't believe.
Now, away from the Demo Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kojo-Tremantin is optimistic the retooling of Commander Sugar Factory is almost complete and will soon undergo a test run. The factory, commissioned by former President John Dramani Mahama before the 2016 election, has been under lock and key, mainly because managers of the factory say there are not enough raw materials to feed the factory. Mr. Tremantin says more major works undertaken at the factory have been completed and a 4-acre land prepared to support sugarcane development to feed the factory. Parliamentary correspondent Wikwa Santi reports.
President Akufo-Addo had given 2 separate timelines for the factory to begin operations, but both timelines have failed to materialize. 3 weeks ago, the minority members on the Trade Committee of Parliament visited the site of the factory and alleged that government was not interested in reviving the factory. But today in Parliament, Trade Minister Alan Tremantin has said that the factory will soon begin a test run and that government is still committed to its operationalization.
Mr. Speaker, the Commander Sugar Factory is currently undergoing major retooling and repair works, which is about 98% complete, with a projection to undertake a production test run by the end of July this year.
The minister revealed some major works that have been done on the factory. He also revealed that government had secured land to produce sugarcane as raw material to feed the factory.
The following works have been completed or are at final stages of completion. 1. Installation of a new pipeline to and from the plant to the molasses tank is 100% complete. 2. Refractories and lagging work in boiler furnace and chimneys are 100% complete. Mr. Speaker, 4 acres of nursery land has been prepared for the cultivation of sugarcane to support sugarcane development in the catchment area.
The minister also pushed back on suggestions from Bolibamboy MP Yusuf Sulemana that government had caused financial loss to the state.
Introduced a strategic investor a couple of months ago to the people of Commander, and he told us that they went through a rigorous process in selecting that strategic investor. What it meant is that some money would have been spent through the procurement process and even traveling to introduce that investor to the people of Commander Sugar Factory. Will the minister agree with me that if the investor is no more the one going to do this project, then some money would have been lost, and that will amount to causing financial loss to the state?
Would that also amount to a case of financial loss for going through the normal process of attracting a strategic investor? I leave that to the judgment of the honourable member.
I am the member of Parliament representing the people of Bolibamboy, and it is my responsibility to question people in the executive. And so if I've asked the minister a question, it is for him to answer me and not to ask me questions.
So nearly 6 years after the Commander Sugar Factory was inaugurated by then President John Dramani Mahama, the $36 million facility is still not yet opened. The jobs that would have been created and the livelihoods that would have been empowered are still on hold as government plans to reopen it this year. There are those who say that, given that previous timelines offered by government officials, including the President of the Republic, has not materialized, they will take all such new assurances with a pinch of salt until there is sugar coming out from that factory. For Joy News, Kweku Asante reporting from Parliament.
Traditional rulers in the Upper East region say they are committed to taking steps to modify old widowhood rights that are injurious and infringe on the human rights of widows. The chiefs made the commitment after the Widows and Orphans movement led widows in the region to appeal to the Regional House of Chiefs to have the dangerous widowhood rights removed. The communique was issued to mark International Widows Day. Correspondent Albert Sori reports.
International Widows Day is marked in June every year to draw attention to the plight of widows all over the world. Widows in the Upper East region marked the day this year with a march through the principal streets of Bolgatanga. They raised placards with various inscriptions, drawing the attention of government, traditional authorities and other duty bearers to the problems faced by widows in the Upper East region. Led by the Widows and Orphans movement, an NGO based in the Upper East region and working to promote, uphold and protect the rights of widows and orphans, the march ended with a brief program where the widows discussed matters that affect them. Fatih Abigail Abdullahi is director of the Widows and Orphans movement.
The Ghana Household Registry in 2018 did a survey that showed that 61% of widows that are employable are actually unemployed. Again, the same survey says that 3 out of 4 widows in the Upper East region are either poor or extremely poor. The Widows and Orphans movement over the years, based on the work we've done, evidence shows that most of these poverty situations the women face is based on the widowhood rights and practices that they go through, which are injurious to them. So for instance, we still have widowhood rights where they say that a widow shouldn't consume the foodstuffs that she owned after the funeral, and these foodstuffs are shared to other family members. After this funeral, we realize that these widows and their children struggle to survive. And so it is on this basis that this year our theme is looking at sustainable solutions to ending widowhood rights.
The widows issued and presented a communique to the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs appealing for the abolishment of traditional widowhood rights that are injurious to widows and violate their fundamental human rights.
Widows are consent into participating in harmful and degrading practice where fowls are slaughtered on the head of a widow with blood oozing on her as a form of purification, leaving most widows traumatized.
In its quest to encourage international integration for unification in diversity, the University of Health and Allied Sciences has held its maiden International Day in Ho. Speaking at the celebration, Professor John Owusu-Japon, the Vice-Chancellor of the university, said that the U.S. international faculty has contributed to the development of the school. Here's Fred Kwame Asari's report.
The International Day celebration forms part of an initiative to project the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the international community. It was also to recognize and enhance relations with international collaborators and to celebrate faculty, which is made up of diverse ethnicity and nationality. According to the Vice-Chancellor, Professor John Owusu-Japon, UHAS has partnered with over 20 international universities for exchange programs for faculty and students.
We also, as a university, want to emphasize the fact that we encourage gender equality. It is all part of our fifth strategic objective of diversity. And indeed, in all our adverts that we put out to recruit people, we always emphasize that we ensure that there is gender equality. As I speak now, we have over 20 partnerships with international universities where we facilitate exchange programs for both faculty and students. Unfortunately, the student exchange has been unidirectional, and we are working at it to ensure that our students are also able to move into other jurisdictions to take a semester abroad and benefit from what pertains in other jurisdictions.
The Deputy Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Ambassador Gambo Yusuf Hamza, outlined some importance of internationalization.
Our perspective of the world, which is influenced by our culture, changes as a result of a variety of viewpoints of an international community. It impels people to see that their environment and the world differently and bring about creativity, subsequently driving innovation that provides solutions to societal problems. Manifold voices, perspectives, personality, crisscrossing give rise to new ideas leading to progress and development.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Yaolecha, acknowledged the role of the international faculty in developing the university, which is solely dedicated to the training of health professionals. The university leveraged international collaborations to generate revenue and improve its operations, which led to the institution being ranked high in Ghana and across the globe. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
Business Senior High School, BISCO, in the Northern Region has emerged the winner of the 3rd edition of the Northern Regional Energy Commission's Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge competition. This is the second time the school has won the regional competition at the zonal level. The students used rice chaff to produce clean charcoal, which does not pollute the environment. Martina Bugri reports.
8 schools contested for this year's competition. BISCO scored 77.3 points to pick the first slot, followed by Tamale Girls Senior High School, who scored 67.3 to emerge second. Northern School of Business followed closely with 65.3% to become third. The rest were Tamale Senior High School, who scored 63.7% to become fourth. Daboka followed by Ghana School, Saviligu, and Tamale Technical Institute in that order. Speaking to Joy News after the declaration, the winners said they are determined to win the next contest in Kumasi and the finals in Accra. Tanya Charles speaks for the team.
Okay, so we feel actually very excited because somebody hosted us thinking they were going to be the winners of this competition. Yeah. But then we proved to them that it is not always like that. Yeah, things can turn around. It doesn't matter whether you are the landlord of the land, somebody or your tenant can come and kick you out of the competition. And we know very well that last year we did our best, we made it to the zonals, but we couldn't proceed to the nationals. This year we are making it to the top. Accra all the way, we are coming. We did the same products, yes, but then this year we decided to improve upon it. Last year we didn't bring the machine, but this year we decided like, okay, let's bring the machine to demonstrate how the process is done and the end product of it.
He also walked Joy News through the process of producing the charcoal. They have Christian charcoal fracas.
Our product we made was charcoal briquettes. That is the name we give it to it, charcoal briquettes. So I'm going to take you through the processes involved. We use agricultural waste, which we have here. We have rice husk. We can also use granite shells. So when you get your agricultural waste, we have 2 compartments, a smaller one and a bigger one, with holes perforated around both compartments, just to allow controlled amount of oxygen go into it.
Teacher coordinating the team, Cletus Balong Boru, appealed for funding to scale up the production of the charcoal.
It needs a motor, an electric machine that will be powered by a motor, so that this motor can, in fact, when we use the motor, it compress the thing very hard. Because the motor power is high, it can compress it more than when you use your hand. And the harder it is compressed, the longer it bends. So when it is compressed very hard, it bends longer. And again, because we are going to use electricity, we can produce in large quantities. So that studies is on course. We are almost getting there. We only need funds.
Officer in charge of renewable energy, Ms. Bernice Norte, who read a speech on behalf of the Executive Secretary of the Energy Commission, said the program is aimed at promoting creative thinking and providing mentorship to young students.
The aim is to promote creative thinking and to provide mentorship to young students. The challenge will highlight various competitions by students in the second cycle institutions and provide a platform for the exhibition of their innovative projects. It is vital that we eliminate the chew, pour, pass and forget phenomenon in the educational system of Ghana, as well as the myth that research and project development are only directed at science students.
That's all for the news. The show continues with Benjamin and Bernice Tuesday.
Well, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us as we serve you the news review. But right before that, how about we check out the weather? We're still in that season. Joining the conversation, Joshua Asamoah. He is a senior forecaster with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. He joins us. Joshua, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join us. This week has been pretty good. Not too much rainfall, just as we expected. But what can we expect this Wednesday morning leading through the rest of the day and maybe ahead of tomorrow morning?
Well, for us in Greater Accra, the case will not be so different.
Joshua, can you please speak up? Please speak up for me.
So I'm saying for us in Greater Accra, the case will not be too different. We are still expecting similar conditions like we've been experiencing during the start of the week. Within the next 24 hours, we're just expecting mostly cloudy weather from this morning, and then we'll get some breaks of sunshine in the afternoon. We'll go back into some thick cloudiness in the evening, and that is likely to bring some slight rain, but nothing so severe to cause any distraction or any harm. So for us in Greater Accra, it's good. But for areas in the northern part of the country, we are seeing some approach of rain clouds towards the area. And so from late morning into the afternoon, it's likely we'll be getting some rains over northern Ghana. For those who are watching on the screen, you could see some rain clouds over Burkina Faso area. And these are tracking towards the southern parts. And so the upper regions and parts of the northern region, I expected to see some thundery and rainfall activities. It's not too severe. If you see the intensity is not too much, and so the rains will not be so severe, just some moderate rainfall, occasionally windy conditions as well for northern Ghana. For areas in the middle portion, I mean the eastern Volta towards the Ashanti, western north regions too, we are seeing some very weak rainstorm from Nigeria. And this is expected to track to those areas. It will not produce so much rainfall because it's a weak rainstorm. We'll just see cloudy conditions over the eastern Ashanti, Volta, and OT regions, and some pockets of moderate rainfall, and occasionally some thunder as well. And so for most parts of the country, we are expecting cloudy weather today. Rains are expected, but mainly over the northern portion of the country and parts of the middle sector. For coastal Ghana, we're expecting rains towards the southern portion, the western portion. That's the Hafasini, Axim areas, and few areas in around Takrady. But for us in the eastern coast, that's Accra, Tema, Nungwa, Keita areas, we'll just see cloudiness with some slight or moderate rainfall later today.
Alrighty. And so that's the latest. Basically, so if I asked you to divide the country into three, so we have the northern belt, the transition belt, and the southern belt, what would be your brief summary of this forecast?
All right, so basically the transition belt and the northern sector are where we're expecting some moderate rain with some thunder and strong winds as well. Okay. But for us in southern Ghana, like you said, we just see the cloudiness and some pockets of slight to moderate rainfall.
Joshua, we're really grateful that you joined us this morning to give us the scoop as far as the weather is concerned. Do have a lovely day, sir. And that's Joshua Asamoah, senior forecaster at the GMET. He joined the conversation. Let's get into the papers now. We're going to be joined shortly by Dr. Kwame Asasante, Director for the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, a political scientist as well. And most definitely, when we get into the news review, I want to pick his thoughts on the Arise Ghana demonstration. I would want to pick his thoughts on our economy at a point, and also something interesting on the international front that I'll be running by him as and when he joins the conversation. But I'd like those of you who are live already to start sharing with us what your thoughts are on the back of the scenes from yesterday. I just want us to reflect on that. And I want to ask, why must it always end in tears? Practically every time there's a demonstration in this country. My colleague law students, you remember, they were whipped, lashed with, water cannon water. And that water is hot. It's also laced with something peppery or all of that. That happened. We saw them lashed like, animals or something. We've had that instance. We had the instance way back in the demonstration where Gabi Asari-Otridako was slapped. We've seen the Ananankomes and all the altercations in the past. Here we are, another demonstration, and tires being burnt, tear gas being... And I hear, interestingly, that Information Minister Kojo Ponkuma says it was the demonstrators who first hurled tear gas at, the police, which I find rather curious. But we've seen instances where some of these, demonstrators were hurling not stones or rocks, because you see the footage, and some of them atop the overhead were hurling rocks down. You could see that there were some makeshift buildings down there, and with roofing, that is not anything to write home about. We could have easily been affected. Why did that happen? You listen to the demonstrators and they say it is the police that started it. And the police also says it's the demonstrators that started it. You would see the police. There was a very sad instance where a policeman was seen slapping one of the 29 who had been apprehended. You see one of the police officers about to throw a stone back. It was actually a reprisal, for those of you who don't know it, because our man on the ground explains that this guy was in an armored vehicle, somewhat armored vehicle. People had thrown or hurled stones at him, and those that had fallen through the hatch, that was one he was throwing back at the demonstrators. So it was a reprisal. But this altercation, this trade-off between the police and demonstrators makes no real sense. Why must it always end this way when it comes to demonstrations in our country? Why? And I also feel that in a way, like some of the organizers of the demonstration, Arise Ghana demonstration, have pointed out, it appears the police, in a way, positions itself in a way that makes it appear to be leaning towards establishment and maybe what it stands for. And that is what they claim, and that is also problematic. That the police service, while being a part of the executive, must wean itself off that impression or that perception. But it's very problematic from both sides. Both of them are condemnable. We saw that police officer with his hands, his ears lacerated. But did you see the photo of that man, I think a driver or so, a demonstrator? Look at what had happened to his eye, almost gouged out. Why must it be this way in this country? A democratic right. The people have the right to demonstrate. And there was a stay of execution as far as, some of the details, the timing and all of that was concerned. So if they were not going to go to the Jubilee House, why not allow them? Yes, there had been an purportedly agreed route, because that was what was proposed by the court, to go to the Independence Square. But if they were going to use a different route, but not go to the Jubilee House, what was the big deal? Did it have to end like this? I mean, do we prefer this to an alternative route? I know it would complicate the work of the police. I understand. I'm not, oblivious to that. But could we have accommodated one another better? Demonstrators for the police and police for the demonstrators. Why must it always end in tears? Oh, Ghana. Anyway, I guess it is what it is. I don't know when we shall develop, and look, I must say this clearly. As a person, I don't know what it will take me to join any demonstration in this country, regardless of whatever, because you look at what happens. Someone is either getting killed, someone is getting maimed, look at that gentleman's eye. And how about the police officers who were injured? Simply on national assignment, national duty. Why must it be like this? And we end up destroying state property. And the police, when it comes to crowd control and all of that, I don't know. Can't we handle these matters without necessarily using force? The law allows the police to use some measure of force, understood. But must we always take that option? I've seen countries, and people have said, yeah, the police, they were pelted and all of that. Sad incident. But I've seen countries where worse is done, worse, in better jurisdictions. And the police doesn't react like this. So this morning, I'm lashing both sides, the demonstrators and the police. The demonstrators, like I said, some of them were not even hurling stones. It was rocks. If that thing were to hit you, it could kill you. And that is highly irresponsible. And I'm happy that some people have been apprehended. And if it's proven that those people were culpable, they should be dealt with to the letter. Like the law should deal with them ruthlessly. Because even the organizers of the event said that. I listened to some of them that, look, they didn't come with any intent to do any such things. And so if you were culpable, you should be held liable. But on the end of the police as well, I mean, Charlie, what's in the wrong way? Every time the police must react. But you are clothed with the power of the state. You are clothed. You have a cloak of power. The people don't have that power. So you must be measured in using that power. It's like a karateka, an expert in karate, or a black belt in judo, or a boxer, master boxer. You don't go out. That's why if you're a boxer and you go out and you use your skill to beat someone because the person doesn't have the skill you have, you'll be held liable. It's a similar relationship. I mean, why do we have to be like this? Why do we have to be like this? As a law student, I watched my colleagues getting beaten like animals years back. Lashed with, water cannon and all of that. And we saw the water cannon, those that had been parked around the Jubilee House and all of that ahead of this entire, event, this demonstration. But why must it be so? People should have the right to say, things are not going well and we deserve better. Did you listen to those who yesterday, participated in the demonstration? Some of the comments they were passing and all of that. They were expressing real life issues. Real life issues. We're all facing them. The economy is tough. No one can joke about that. No one can mince words about the economy. But the burning of tires and all of that is irresponsible. How can you be, breaking up placards and using it as fuel to burn tires on our streets, destroy the very property that tomorrow you also come and complain about? If you cause potholes or whatever on the road, on the stretch, look at the littering alone. Look at the littering. That is irresponsible. I mean, I don't know whether they, caused all of this littering, but look at the littering in the place. And then you're burning car tires like this. If tomorrow there is a development on that road or something happens, we are the same people who will turn around and complain. Why must we do this to ourselves? Why is it that when we say peaceful demonstration, it cannot be peaceful throughout? I think I covered a few months ago the Wakmane demonstration. Pretty peaceful. All the way, again, from the Obra Spot, all the way through to Central Accra and then to other places. It was hectic. It was tight. There was a huge crowd, but it was peaceful. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened? I think it's high time we really reflected on this matter because we can't keep going like this as a country where every time someone must either die, be maimed. I can't even imagine. Look at that gentleman with the eye. I couldn't watch that thing twice. If that were your father, your brother, your grandfather, how would you feel? And who is going to cater for his medical bills? Was it a crime to participate in a demonstration? Was it a crime? Something that the law itself, our 1992 Constitution, guarantees. And I feel like it got to the point where we must also do a lot more education, because sometimes the police still acts, it had to be clarified, but I must maybe reinforce this. The police does not give permission for people to demonstrate. They don't give permission. They are only to guide and to ensure, because you would necessarily at a point obstruct traffic and all of that. They are merely to give guidance. And if they feel that something will create problems, like they did, maybe rightly so, in court, we don't want you to demonstrate up to 10 p.m., on the back of the terrorist threat and all of that. Some security analysts have counted all of this, but really, 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 we have a long way to go as a country. And look, Mr. IGP, Dr. Dampare, your boys and girls in navy blue, you really have a lot of work to do. I don't expect you to do that overnight, because look, how long has it been since you took over? I'm being fair to you. But in terms of professionalism, there's a lot. You saw that police officer of yours that slapped someone. That one, the Ghana Police Service didn't post on social media. We saw you posting when your officials were, attacked. How come you weren't posting the one about one of your officials slapping somebody? How about the photo captured by the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation where one of your police officers was throwing a stone? I understand. I know the context to it, because apparently demonstrators had thrown stones at him, some of which had fallen in the hatch, which he hurled back. But was that professional? That's my point. You were clothed with the power of the state. They throw a stone at you. You must be more civil. I don't see that when it comes to the Ghana Police Service. I don't see them to be above, the board. I don't see them showing that maturity. And that's where the problem is for you, Mr. IGP. Crowd control is still piss poor in the Ghana Police Service. And how to control their emotions and handle situations. You're doing a fine job, but you have a lot of work in that regard. And for the organizers of the demonstration, these are the things we ought to look out for. When my colleague Manuel Kranting was covering this demonstration for a long period, because they didn't start moving out at 8. They were there, but they hadn't moved out. They conducted themselves well. So what happened? Why the spillover? And as the information minister suggests, some of them were throwing tear gas. And I'm not talking about the police, which did throw tear gas. I'm talking about the demonstrators. I didn't see that. I didn't, honestly, see any demonstrator throwing tear gas. There was that allegation. But if that happened, we ought to ask ourselves some serious questions. How did that person, or how did these people get a hold of tear gas? And for what purpose were they carrying that to the grounds as demonstrators? We have to do a whole lot more, because this country is becoming sickening. Every demonstration, Wahala Day. Why? Share your thoughts with us on social media, and let's do something as a country. I'm talking so much this morning because autonomy is becoming too much. Every demonstration. We should be ashamed of ourselves as a country, as government, and as the people who demonstrated as well. We did not show good faith towards one another yesterday. Even in Sri Lanka, where they are facing a huge fuel crisis and so many things. A few demonstrations here and there, but do we see these things happening? The Daily Graphic newspaper. Chaos, tear gas, Arise Ghana demonstration. Let me welcome aboard Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Good morning, Ben. Sorry for a little hiccup here.
No, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. I'm very upset this morning. I don't know whether you heard me a short while ago, but yes, I don't know why every demonstration, practically every demonstration, must end in some fracas, someone getting injured, the police going over the top, killing a fly with a sledgehammer, the demonstrators being very unruly, uncivil. I don't know. What is your quick reflection on what happened yesterday?
Yes, you have every right to be angry about the situation. I'm equally angry here because I ask myself, when you want to demonstrate, it's a constitutional right, and you have to operate within the remit of the law. All right. If you look at what happened yesterday, is nothing but a sorry story. Why am I saying that? Because look, you sit down with the police, you have to agree on certain things, and then you move on. Why are we seeing what we saw that yesterday? Very, very unfortunate. I think that going forward, political parties must educate their members very well about how to carry out these activities. And the same advice goes to the police force, that anytime they are exercising their mandate to protect life and property, there is always the need to be measured and tempered so that these things don't escalate. Yesterday, what we saw was, to say the least, the worst that I've seen in my life as a student of politics. It's my hope and prayer that these things do not continue. Because what's the point? You want to express an opinion, legitimate one. Why don't you want to use legitimate means to achieve this? And what we had yesterday is the situation on the ground. It's very, very unfortunate. We should grow as a society, and we should grow our democracy, so that whatever disagreement, whatever problem we have, we must be prepared to sit down and talk to those who are in authority. And then those in authority also must have big stomach to stomach some of these things, so that at the end of the day, we have a cordial and a very peaceful program. That is all. That is all. But what we saw yesterday, I'm afraid this is chaos. Chaos. And Ghana doesn't need it.
What are your takeaways? Because, we keep going back and forth. These have been happening, as far as I remember, in the Fourth Republic. Practically every demonstration that I've followed has had something happen. Something apparently must happen. Very few of them, I can count on my fingers, that haven't had any, altercations or whatever. Really, I think it's high time we sat down as a country, leadership, followership, and decided, like the Spanish would say, nunca jamás, never again. But never again will never happen out of the blue. We must put in place systems, measures. The police service, like I said, has problems when it comes to crowd control. They have problems when it comes to the entities in the Ghana Police Service and how they handle their emotions, emotional intelligence. On the other hand, demonstrators almost always, run amok. They get out of hand. How do we handle it? Because it appears we're not making any headway. The next demonstration that will happen, Dr. Asa Asante, if we're not careful, it will be worse. Because, with the economic situation and with everything that is happening, people are charged. If we don't do something, and you also can't prevent the people from, demonstrating. So what do we do, really?
One is that we must strengthen education on this. That when you are demonstrating, you are not destroying anything. You are protesting. You are venting out your grievances for authorities to listen to you. That's it. When that education goes down well, for both the police and for demonstrators, I think it will go a long way to help us. Two, we need to enforce the law rigidly. That whoever goes on demonstration and you end up destroying life and property, obviously you have crossed the line. And that we must be firm to deal with those people who want to cause mayhem or cause trouble for our society. That is all. The systems are already in place, but enforcement is the problem. And then education, more often than not, we have very little education. Anytime we're saying, political parties said, we are going to demonstrate and all that, you ask yourself, have they educated their members as to how to demonstrate and demonstrate peacefully? Then you ask yourself, police, who are supposed to maintain law and order and ensure that our lives are protected and our properties are protected, are they also well equipped and educated so as to handle difficult situations like that? It is something that we need to work on, and it should be now.
But talking about the organizers of such demonstrations and saying they should educate their followers, look at the crowds yesterday. People came from all over the place. I mean, you can't possibly know who and who, all the numbers of people who are going to be coming. How do they go about that? I think maybe we should do it on a general national level, frequent education about, because the organizers can't possibly do that, can they?
I agree with you. That is why this type of education, you don't limit it to political parties, police alone. It should be a national program that everybody, whether you want to plan a demonstration today or tomorrow, you are supposed to go through a process, get the ABCs right, so that when you hit the street, you are only expressing your grievance or your anger or your frustration to the authorities. And the authorities will also, that is the police, will also make sure that you work within the limits of the law. And they also will be able to manage crowd when the time comes. We need what? A general education, and NCCE must lead in this charge so that we get, these are part of what? The things that we need to know in a democracy. We need to know this. Otherwise, these things, one day, who knows? And we are not praying for that. It can get out of hand.
It is getting out of hand, Doc. But you see, I'm addressing this from both angles because I'm tired of the police attacking or assaulting people, whatever you want to call it, demonstrators, in the name of, look, they drew first blood or they did this. It must end somewhere. I see some people also sending messages that should the police have folded their arms? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that in more, I don't want to use the word that is coming, but in better jurisdictions, they have better, I mean, the limit is higher, the threshold is higher. And so you would notice that even on the back of some of the happenings with the Capitol Hill assault in the United States, the police were more measured.
Yes.
That is what I'm saying. The threshold, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the police should have just stood there. After all, they had protective gear. They had protective gear. But on the other hand, I'm also asking myself, Doc, must we get to the point where if you organize a demonstration and if you willfully, you are seen to have willfully allowed people to, run amok, to rampage, you should be held responsible. Should we get to that point as well?
We are already there. The law makes it clear that if you want to destroy life and property, the police will not sit down, they will arrest you. And, similarly, if you are also the police, you must use what? Reasonable force when you are handling this situation. So we need an effective education for all, for demonstrators, for, political party, for even the citizenry and the police. We need effective education so that we will realize that we work together as a people to safeguard this young democracy.
Well, that story there in the Daily Graphic, Arise Ghana demo, 12 policemen injured, some protesters arrested. I find it interesting though, yesterday when the Ghana Police Service put out this statement, some of the organizers said, look, that is not true. We saw one person with his ear lacerated and a bit of injury in his palm. I shouldn't say a bit. Injury. Injury is injury. It doesn't matter what. But the organizers were questioning. 12 police officers, we dispute that. Show us the proof. Show us images and all of that. So that also creates some counterbalance. And you begin to wonder, what exactly happened, because it appears the police is painting a picture that favors it as not being the aggressor. The demonstrators are also painting a picture that they were not the aggressors. So no, it's just the blame game. But the story by Dixon Walanyo Doche says, chaos, stone pelting and the firing of tear gas marred what had begun yesterday as a peaceful protest by Arise Ghana movement, a pressure group to drum home its displeasure at government policies and the high cost of living. The police clashed with the protesters over a stalemate on the routes they should use. In the process, 12 policemen sustained varying degrees of injury, just like scores of the demonstrators. Now, while the protesters, in case you missed the story, insisted on using the Ring Road Central that is circled towards the police headquarters to picket at the Jubilee House, the police said the demonstrators should march to the Black Star Square, the Independence Square, through the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, where a team of policemen were lying in wait to coordinate the demonstration. I'll end it here, but another bit we ought to look at, again, Doc, per our law, when it comes to a route, the demonstrators say that route was not agreed upon, that is, going to the Independence Square, was not agreed upon. It was maybe foisted upon them by the court, which had directed them to demonstrate from 8 to 4 anyway. They went past 4 o'clock. But that, because there had been a stay of execution of that, and we've heard the likes of Martin Kwebu say that once there is a stay of execution, it means the matter, just to put it bluntly, has no conclusivity. We ought to look again, because this is the main trigger I see. where if there is a route, it must be established and accepted by all before demonstrations start, so that we can't say then that we didn't agree on this route. And again, I'm not sure what the law says when it comes to these established routes, because I know even sometimes when there's an established route and there's something, the police will seek a detour. So could they not have allowed this detour in this instance when the people said, we're not going to go to the Jubilee House. Mr. President is not even in the country, so we'll not go to Jubilee House. We'll use an alternate route. And I mean, what is your take on that?
See, that's why I always emphasize on democratic education. Once you get these things right, look, I want to express myself on the street for people to know what I'm feeling about policy or not.
Right.
So, but people must protect me and protect the society in general. So why can't we sit down, talk, and, get to a consensus, so that at the end of the day, we agreed on the route, and then, everything goes on well. It is the lack of tolerance on the part of demonstrators and also security people. We need to tolerate one another, speak to one another as friendly people who want to really build this democracy. Because the essence of all this demonstration and all that is to promote a better life for people in this country. So if that is the goal of the demonstrators, and of course is the goal of the security people, why can't we sit down on a round table, discuss these things? We need democratic tolerance. We are seeing ourselves as enemies within a democracy. And for me, that is more worrying. And we need more education so that this thing can be internalized properly among the people, and then we can take it from there. It is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But we need the institutions of democracy to up their game. NCC, they must continue to educate us. But these are some of the things that they must, strengthen their education on. Civil society group, right? They must also help us in this direction. And of course, every well-meaning people of this country must also be up and educate us on these ones. Otherwise, we will be pretending to build a democracy, but will not be able to do the right or the needful things, because we need to tolerate one another.
Let's take a look at some other stories in the papers. And of course, most of them are tied to the Arise Ghana demonstration. So if you've seen us spending time on that, this is a crucial matter of a burning issue, and we needed to look at it. But another angle to this that I quickly want us to look at, Republic Press states that journalists attacked for filming, and in their attempt to hide behind the demonstration and cause mayhem, some of the protesters at yesterday's Arise Ghana demonstration pounced on journalists who were at the scene to cover their activities. While some cameramen were physically attacked for filming, others were chased off away from the scene as they were accused of being in bed with the ruling government. It is said that some of them told the journalists, "You journalists are part of the problem. You sit there and watch Akufo-Addo destroy the country." These are not my words. This is a quote. This country is for us. We cannot allow one person to destroy it. Ghanaians are suffering. You are suffering. We are all suffering. But you sit there and keep quiet as though everything were going well in this country. So that is what purportedly some of them said. A TV3 cameraman, Ishmael, nearly had his camera smashed. Another female journalist working with Adwa TV was attacked for giving a live report of the incident. Her attackers claimed that during her live report, she said they, that is the protesters, were hurling stones at the police. So tolerance on both sides, both from the Ghana Police Service. They need more of that, a good dose of that. And demonstrators also need a good jab of that. And it goes back to what you were saying, civic education and the NCCE and other bodies. We need to know better and do better.
Yes, because I don't understand why you are doing your job, you are demonstrating, and I'm also taking pictures, and you want to prevent me from doing this. It's lack of education, completely. Because if we understand each other, we understand our roles, all right, continue to do yours within the remit of the law. I'm also carrying out my duty, lawful duty. So why do you prevent me? Sometimes you see even security people will not allow you to take pictures in some of the instances. Sometimes you see demonstrators will not allow. Constant education on all this. Where it is forbidding to take pictures, we must educate people about that. Where it is not, allow people to take pictures. After all, you want your story to be told. And in journalism, picture says that I was there. So you must be happy that somebody is reporting about the scene, telling the public that he, the person who took the picture, was there to carry your story for you. So why do you want to prevent this? And it's lack of education that's causing all this. Yes, even though our democracy from 1992 has survived all manner of problems, but this is one of the problems that we need to work at so that we can firm this democracy.
And I'm looking here at page 17 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and one of the Ghana Police Service vehicles vandalized. I mean, it doesn't look good at all. Just as it didn't look good at all when demonstrators were also attacked. The Daily Guide covers a similar story, so I'm not going to rehash that. The final newspaper, Minister of Food and Agriculture owes Planting for Food and Jobs seed suppliers 150 million Ghana cedis. Association petitions National Seed Council chair. And we know that not everything is rosy as far as our agricultural setup is concerned, and what is owed to different people and different groupings. Lands Ministry issues 95 licenses to the GNASSM, that's in the Custodian newspaper. And wrapping with the publisher, Fixing the Country Ghana, Lord's government education agenda. All right. So that is it. Your final words, Doc, as we part.
Yes, about the issue relating to the issue of agriculture. This country, we know, and we know for sure, that the only way out is to build a solid agricultural base for this country, for industry, for the people, and all that. Once we fail, we will continue to, globe-trotting, begging for arms and all that. But the solution is right here. Look at arable lands that we are wasting. Look at freshwater bodies and so forth and so on. There are a lot we can do. We need to know that nobody can build our society for us.
Right.
If somebody wants to even support us with materials or things that we need, it will be temporary. But the reality is that we have to take our destiny into our own hands and then develop our system. Even if we don't have the knowledge yet, what prevents us from borrowing from people who have? And I can say without fear of contradiction that every knowledge we need to build a solid agricultural base for this country is here. All that we need is to what? Get busy and then do the right thing at the right time. That's all.
Doc, we are so grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. Do have a wonderful day. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Director for the Center for European Studies, a political scientist at the University of Ghana. As I wrap and as we get into sports in the next minute, I just want to say this. To the demonstrators, you participated in something that our Constitution guarantees. You did the right thing by demonstrating. But when you went over the top for those who did, that was a problem. We have to look at that. We are sorry for those who got injured. And for the Ghana Police Service as well, we are sorry for your losses in that sense. Those who got injured, your vandalized property. But you must also learn to be a bit more measured. That is what democracy is all about. God bless Ghana. Up next, sports.
Hello, good morning. This is AM Sports, and I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Black Stars head coach Otto Addo has described combining his role as a senior national team coach of Ghana as well as transition coach for Borussia Dortmund as a big challenge, but a challenge he is ready and committed to serving both parties. According to him, it would only deny him time with his family, but these are not roles he cannot handle successfully.
I mean, nothing is easy, but it's culpable because I don't have a responsibility of a team. So that makes it a lot easier. I just try to help and assist the coach as an assistant. So I have, especially at the weekends, I have the freedom to watch the matches of the under 23, under 19, and under 17, and I'm not always with the first team. So my role is it's a little bit more free role. Surely I'm at the training during the week, but we have it's a window now which we can overview very easily. So we have this window now. We will have a September window for the national team. Between now and September, I will have a lot of online meetings with my coaching staff, online meeting with coaches which are in Ghana, online meetings with coaches, with the other coaches, and then with other departments, which I mostly do in the evening. And then we'll meet in September for our last matches before the World Cup. And then it's a World Cup, so it's not that much. Surely we have to prepare ourselves very well. So I'm always in touch with our coaches, with the analyzers, and they prepare me with a lot of videos. And surely I also watch our players mostly online. I got all the matches, and so I can assess our players as well. Because it's going to be a difficult decision for us also who will come to the World Cup and who will not. And for that, I prepare always, mostly in the evening. I do a lot of work. So at the moment, it's just, I have to say, a little bit less time for my family, but it's possible to do both works, no problem.
Possible to do both roles as head coach of the Black Stars and also as the transition coach for Borussia Dortmund. That is according to Otto Addo. Let's hear from one of his assistant coaches, Didier Dramani, who has been speaking to us about the transition of players from the junior national teams to the senior national team. He says that Ghana must create an enabling environment for players to be able to move from one stage to the other.
You know, transition of a player is a process. It's not an event. And this process, demands a lot of factors. One, you look at the environment. Two, you look at the personality. And then three, you look at the support base. So when you look at the environment, how is the person coming in? Then you are thinking about the weather, you are thinking about the food, you are thinking about the people around, the language. So based on all these fundamentals, it tells you that you have to accept the person the way he is, first of all. And once you accept the person, sometimes we are thinking about transition of players. But the environment itself, you need to transit into the environment. As even coaches, as even administrators, as in every level you have to transit. So when you are transiting, you have to understand it quickly and then integrate. And the environment needs to accept you. Once the environment accepts you, and it is about the person who is receiving. So if I'm receiving you in a new environment, first of all, I have to receive you. And you have to also accept me immediately. So once you have good communication amongst the players and letting them know that, look, you have to accept what you are seeing. Speak with them, speak with people. Don't wait until the person speaks with you. Speak with people around. Explore around. Try to see things. And then once you do that, it means you are trying to integrate. And once you are integrating, you begin to see things repeatedly. And once you are seeing these things repeat, both pitch and off-pitch activities. So transition of players or staff is not necessarily, on just a one-day wonder. It's a process. Right to Dream and FCN have been able to factor this aspect so well, in the sense that our transition of players have become, momentarily. We took players out from Ghana to Europe, several times. They go 3 months and then they are back. They go 3 months and they are back until they are 18. So until they are 18, once they have the opportunity of going to Denmark and back, going, to and fro, and then getting into the environment and getting into the weather, and then meeting these same people over and over again, then they are becoming used to them until they become 18. The transition is also not only on aspects that are not related to the game. They are also related to aspects that are related to the game. So when you are transiting players from our level, and that is why the style of play of FC Nordjylland is shared with what is in Right to Dream, so that the player at least is familiar with certain prerequisites. So once he's familiar with these aspects, then his movement into the new environment is even more easier.
Didi Dramani there, offering an advice to the Ghana Football Association. The president of the football governing body, Ketu Kweku, had said that the Black Starlets team that won bronze in the Waffle B Cup of Nations will transition into the senior national teams. Didi Dramani says, create an environment that will help them to grow. Let's talk about another season ending and another story of alleged match fixing in the country's top flight competitions. And this time around, it came from the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Ashanti Gold in the person of Albert Kome, who has alleged that a couple of matches that were played on March the 30th of the Ghana Premier League were fixed. And he is quoted by Space FM to have said, the Ghana Premier League was competitive, but I wasn't happy with the final day because there were lots of fixed games. Real Tamale United as RTU never won any match away. Ashgold versus Bibiani Gold Stars was fixed. Wonders versus Ediana Stars was fixed. King Faisal versus Legon Cities was fixed. This is what he said in his conversation with Sinyane-based Space FM. He continued that normally when it gets to that time of the season, clubs want to survive. Football Association doesn't know about it. How do you think Hearts of Oak will lose by 4 goals? Did you watch them yesterday? We shouldn't be hypocrites or we wouldn't progress. I'm a Hearts fan and I'm telling you, this is what he's saying in the match fixing issue. He has been summoned by the Ghana Football Association to appear before the football governing body and substantiate the claims he's made. Hearts of Oak have also condemned the allegations he's leveled against them. Ashanti Gold, the club he works for, has dissociated itself from the comments by the general manager, insisting their game against Bibiani Gold Stars was not fixed. Bibiani Gold Stars themselves have also spoken. They say that they do not fix matches and have described them as a joke. And RTU will be hearing from their communications director, Sey Mubarak, who also says that the club is disappointed that Albert Kome has leveled such allegations against them.
Disappointed of the fact that a leading member of Ghana football, let me say, to have come out to make these kind of comments really speaks very bad of how the administration of the game is being run in the country. And I'm so disappointed. The reason being that this is a man who, during the course of the campaign for Ketu Kraku's election to become the FA president, made so many comments about how the administration was going to bring back the law, was going to actually put a lot of things to ensure that the integrity of Ghana football, is brought back because of what transpired during the Anak expose. I don't know where all these allegations are coming from, but for a leading sports administrator who has so much interest in bringing back, putting Ghana football to the pedal, to have made these comments at this moment, speaks volume of how things are being done in the country. But that is very, very unfortunate on my part.
Well, this allegation borders on credibility and goes to injure the credibility of RTU as a whole unit and as a club. What action, what immediate action will your outfit take on this matter?
Well, as we speak, we actually put documents together. We actually writing to the FA's committee to invite Albert Kome to come out with evidence of the claims that he's making. But in fact, if you look at the school, it is not that RTU never won any match away from home. If you monitored or if you followed us very, very well at the early stages of the season, we were forced to reckon with. In fact, we had beaten the Chelsea at the Golden City Park. We had drawn against Kumasi Asante Kotoko. In fact, we had a fantastic season, let me say, at the start of the season. And by close of the 9th week, we were rocking shoulders with, the Big Six. So it is very unfortunate for Mr. Akakpo to have indicated that, before our match against Akakpo, we have never won a game outside the territories of the North. That is untrue. And beating Hearts for us is not something that should have been news for us. We have beaten the champions of Ghana football in Kumasi and Tekotoko. And so if we have beaten Akakpo and that becomes a news and that becomes an allegation of match fixing, that is very unfortunate. But as management, like I said, we're trying to communicate to the Ghana Football Association. Yes, though, we have a communique that will be invited to appear at the HC committee, but I still think that it is very bad at this moment to tarnish the image of the work that management, the Tenka team and the playing body had actually put in to ensure that we make a claim for ourselves in the course of this season.
Herbal Commerce former club Ediana Stars also just a couple of minutes ago released a statement saying that they do not engage in match fixing. We'll continue to follow this story and see what would happen at the Ghana Football Association. We understand Albert Kome has not been well for a couple of months now, and attempts to reach him yesterday showed that his phone had been off the entire day. We're not able to reach him, but as and when we are able to reach him, we'll also speak to him and share what he's got to say about some of these comments he's made about Ghana football. We appreciate your company this morning. Thanks very much for joining me for AM Sports. The show continues right after this.
Voices of defiance against what they describe as oppression and tyranny. Some hours before a press conference at the Ghana International Press Center, police dispersed the protesters with water cannons and tear gas. I was in the middle of a live report. I had to run to safety with the crew. 2 people collapsed in front of me.
Oh, sorry, okay, so another tear gas. Let's go. Go.
We rushed to a nearby house where we got some water to wash our face. These passers-by at Seko were also affected.
You can see all of these people, they were not part of the protesters. Many of them had to run here to pour water on your faces. Tell me, where exactly were you before they fired the tear gas?
I had a problem with my Ghana card, and I had to go to DRA to work on it. So me, as a matter of fact, I'm not part of the protesters, but you see what I'm going through. I just don't know. I came with a friend and I can't see him. I had a friend with me and I don't know where his whereabouts. See, this is very bad.
So just like him, we had to run here to seek cover and to pour water on our faces because it was getting terrible at a point. So you can see, what's your name?
Kelvin, I'm Kelvin.
Kelvin.
I was just at the traffic lights coming. I was going to take a Medina car and I was going to take my phone. So I was just heading. I saw people running. Then all of a sudden, my eyes was just started burning. This is my first time experiencing this. And I'm so scared.
Were you part of the protesters?
No, please.
This is a marketplace. And the activity that is going on there, it's not everybody that is in it. So for them to have thrown tear gas into public, in the marketplace like this, so burning, some serious burning sensation in the nose, in the eyes, and all over the face. I don't think it's the best. And people with asthma problem, with different, there was a lady fainted. We had to resuscitate her. A lady fainted here. I mean, she could have just died. And I'm not even sure that lady was part of, this demonstration. In fact, to have thrown tear gas in public like this, it's just not the best.
Police in a statement said it had to use water cannons and tear gas to disperse the protesters after they pelted them with stones and bent ties in the middle of the road. The police service said 12 of its men were injured in the process. At a press conference later in the evening, National Communications Officer of the NDC and a member of Arise Ghana, Sami Jimfi, said the police crowd control measures deployed were orchestrated.
See, the whole thing was choreographed. Immediately they started pushing them, and the guys were going back. They started firing tear gas. And then immediately we saw people throwing stones. And these people were not Arise Ghana demonstrators. These were agents provocateurs planted in our midst by the police. That is what they did. And that is why even before that incident happened, if you listen to my speech, when I first addressed the demonstrators, I said that we have information that there are policemen in Arise Ghana t-shirt among us, and they've been sent to cause trouble. I said it before it happened. And we arrest people throwing stones at you. We give them to you to arrest and detain, and you protect them and shield them from arrest. I mean, where in the world have you seen something like this happen? When they're to protest against high cost of fuel, is that a crime? No. When they're to protest against the obnoxious e-levy, which to us amounts to thievery, which is leading to job losses, collapsing the momo industry, and imposing untold hardships on Ghanaians. When they're to protest against the infamous Ejaboni deal, in which this government is seeking to appropriate the mineral royalties of this country for themselves in perpetuity. We went there to protest against corruption.
Another member of the group, Bernard Mona, says the group is unwavering in its demand for better management of the country and will go ahead with day 2 of the protest.
Recent and current colonialist of our time is President Akufo-Addo. He chooses the date 28th to unleash brutality on the people of Ghana. What else can we do as innocent citizens? We should stop because Akufo-Addo has brutalized us? No. Elwak Sports Stadium at 9 o'clock. We move to the Russian embassy, come out of the Christ the King traffic light, take the Liberation Road, come and terminate at the Parliament House, in front of the Parliament House.
And that's the agreement you went?
That is what we have agreed. We initially had said that tomorrow we'll go to the Ministry of Finance, which is the capital city of corruption. And that is the fact that we are seeking economic liberation. We should go to the Ministry of Finance. The police say they will not allow that. As for meeting our people representative in the frontage of Parliament, we will go.
And so we have that all-important conversation right now. Of course, it's the most topical matter, and we're going to look at it from all angles, mirrored angles, as we contemplate what happened yesterday and another day of shame for us as a country. A day of shame. Because, look, these things mustn't happen. They really shouldn't happen. But joining us for the conversation, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, he's Member of Parliament for South Dine. He's also a member of both the Public Accounts Committee and the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. We also have joining the conversation a gentleman who's not been here in a while, Dr. Dixon Adomako-Kisi, Member of Parliament Anyaso, to a member of the Public Accounts Committee. In fact, both of you have not been here in a while. You have been out and about with your pack.
No, I've been here
sittings.
When you went away on short leave.
Okay, all right. This short leave that I never went on. But anyway, I was away briefly, so you've been here in my absence, so to speak. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Dr. Dixon, it's good to have you.
Thank you. And let me use the opportunity to say good morning to my good people in South Dine. Peki, Kpali, Peve, Tongo. Yet, we are safe in Accra. We are being brutalized, but we are safe.
We'll get into that.
Yes.
Would you like to, any words for the members of your
constituency? Well,
I've spoken to a few people. They have some very good, words to share about their member of parliament. Your kindness and certain things you do. I didn't want to say that, but
well. We hope to get more to do more. So I would also use the opportunity to say hello to Anyanso Tom and to continue to plead with them to be considerate of the fact that, yes, our roads are bad, yes, we have drainage issues, but I'll consistently push wherever I can to make sure that these issues are addressed. But it's a huge problem. It needs huge funding, not our regular small boy funding. So it's being worked on. In the interim, I'm hoping that 4 of our critical roads will be at least attended to within the shortest possible time.
Okie doke. So let's get into it. But before we do, I'd just like to react quickly. So initially, when I was in the course of the news review, I was talking about this same, and I'm very passionate about this. It's unfortunate what happened. I made mention of the fact that Kojo Kwankwo, my information minister, had suggested that the public had, thrown tear gas at a point. So he just sent me a short video and a bit of clarification. So it is only fair that I put it out. He says, hi Ben, the information minister didn't say he saw protesters throw the first bouts of tear gas. He said, 1, and I'm putting it out just as he sent it to me. 1, the police briefed him that the first bouts of tear gas were thrown from the protesters. So he was only reporting what the police had told him. And 2, NDC's Joshua Akamba confirmed it in his interview with Joy News. So that is by way of a disclaimer on that matter. Point well made, Mr. Information Minister. So let's continue now with the conversation. And your quick reflection on what happened yesterday. I mean, eventually, I also want us to touch on the economy, how things are going, the e-levy, the National Cathedral, and all of that. But we'll save that for later. Mm-hmm. What happened yesterday, Doc? How do you feel about that?
I was hoping to come after Man in Red, but that's fine. So there are 2 things here. 1, individuals have a right to demonstrate. And let me say that even in the UK recently there was demonstration. So there's never, let me say, a time that democracy would reach a certain point where people would say that, oh, we have water, we have food, we have stable electricity, so we won't demonstrate. In as much as we're living, some elements, some segments of our communities will not be happy with, the status quo. And rightly so, I think governance makes room for demonstration. Now, the only challenge I have is that we have to conduct ourselves appropriately. And many a times that is the problem of demonstration. I think we all saw, even not too long ago, when a black life was lost in the US, how powerful the demonstration went on and for a number of days. And I think that we need to improve on 2 things, police training, and then also how we manage those who demonstrate. We ourselves who are demonstrating. Because those 2 things, it takes 2 to tango. And what I mean by that is that the aggression or the retaliation depends on the 2 people. And unfortunately, I think that, 1, this demonstration shows that if you cannot control the people you are going to demonstrate with, you need to be very wary and very careful about that if you intend to go on a peaceful demonstration. And that is always a problem. I mean, personally, if you even decide to do a walk in your community, along the line, you'd have some people that you'd have wished would not join, heavily drunk people who
But I mean, realistically, this was a discussion I had with Dr. Kwame Asasanti earlier. Realistically, yes, there is some burden on organizers of a demonstration.
Absolutely.
But how far can you stretch the burden? I mean, they cannot determine who will be coming from Kaswa to join. There were people from outside the Greater Accra region, from all kinds of places, who had come from the Ashanti region, who had come to join the demonstration.
Absolutely.
How do you control those?
And
you heard, was it Sami Jemfi making mention of the fact that
allegation.
They actually saw some of these people who were hurling stones and brought them to the police. Take charge of them. and that the police was rather protecting these people, which is why they insinuate, no, hold on, which is why they insinuate, protect in the sense of deal with them, take them away, whisk them away, but it appeared it was a different, what he said, okay? But they did the right thing in that instance. People are flouting the rules of engagement. We've brought them to you. Deal with them. Later on, then tear gas also came in and all of that. Do you get it? So how far do you stretch the bit of where you're saying organizers of such events should take charge?
So what comes out clear out of yesterday's program is the fact that one, Sami Jemfi admits that some recalcitrant people within the demonstrators did not help their cause. And then two, like I said, that we need to up our game in terms of policing or training in terms of how we manage demonstration. But I think that one key thing rings a bell, which is that the police were like, we have come to protect you, not to maim you, not to hurt you. And I really think that when you're on the field, it's a whole different thing. I mean, I've been through demonstration and I've organized a few before, and sometimes your stomach turns because when you see your own people doing the wrong thing, it hurts the goal of what you're trying to achieve. But let me also just say this to the demonstrators. There's nowhere in the world that things aren't difficult now, and I appreciate the frustration they're going through. It is a challenge even for government, as government tries to meet, obligations of loans, obligations of statutory payments, which he and I know some are delayed, unfortunately. And these are real challenges. Nobody would argue otherwise. But the key thing here is how do we approach this and to make it a solution-based, demonstration or a solution approach so that Ghana as a country wins. And that is the key question here. But I'm with them. Sorry to those who have suffered injuries, both on the police side, both bystanders, and then all those who partook in this demonstration. But, clearly, I think their message has been heard, and it won't fall on deaf ears. And in as much as we are the voice of the people as well, we will share the sentiments in Parliament and make sure that the audience is given to them in terms of these real challenges that all of us are facing. When I go to the pump, I pay the same fuel as everybody.
People are talking about sanitary pads. Sanitary pads. Some say even condoms have become
sanitary pads
too highly priced for them to purchase, and all kinds of things.
I mean, those are sometimes a bit more ridiculous. I'm looking at Bayre.
You think it's ridiculous?
I'm looking at Bayre food on the table. That is where I'm very passionate about. Hoping that I mean, I'm almost thinking that our food issues are almost a national security issue now. And somebody told me that, listen, when Ghanaians are hungry, then they act these ways. And what is important is that maybe the Agric Ministry ought to liaise with the, military and do some, in transfer of foods from the hinterlands for maybe some 90-day period, which would then lessen the prices of our goods, because it is becoming troublesome. Tomatoes, onions, the basics.
Some people have also said, I mean, there are two sides to the story. When, now diesel is more expensive than, I don't want to mention because petrol. It's a brand, but some, petrol products, which is absurd because a lot of these public transport, they use diesel. Farm equipment uses diesel. So this is because the highest that you would have on the market, we all know, it's a petrol product, And if now diesel catapults to the point, one of the demonstrators was making the point yesterday that, look, What I used to, and yeah, you can look at it as being political, but the person was saying under the former administration, under John Dramani Mahama, what he was getting
COVID,
for a
without
gallon. No.
War in Russia.
They had Doomsaw, they had Ebola, they had other things to deal with at a point.
Yeah.
And they also had
still not at this
an IMF program to deal with. They have so many things. I really don't like that equalization because it doesn't take us.
No, I'm not.
We put people in power to solve problems.
Absolutely.
The person was making the point that back then, what he was getting for a gallon, which is almost 4 liters, now he spends on just a liter. So that is a crucial problem. But on the other side, we also know that apparently there are some people who are also taking advantage of the system to hike prices.
Yeah.
Some would say that you go and get maybe maize, yam from up north and other places at a certain price, but once it gets to Accra, it is
hiked.
Almost tenfold the price. But then you must also look at the fuel cost. You must look at transportation, bad roads. You must look at perishables.
Labor.
There are so many factors.
Yeah.
But it's a balance. Some are taking undue advantage of the system, but the reality of the fuel prices is also there. I just wanted to add that to what you're saying.
Thank you.
Let me come to Roxanne now. And before I come to you, I've seen quite a lot of you are very interested. So Jeffrey Ajapon says, burning tires to cause mayhem and you expected the police to clap for you, eh? That is what Jeffrey says. Abila Musa says, so we can no longer have a peaceful and meaningful demonstration in this country, a demonstration that will define our situations rather than what we are seeing. And Aaron Babako Kokomisa also highlights the fact that this is a constitutional right per our legal frameworks and that we should abide by it. We should also pay attention to what we stand for religiously speaking as Christians and Muslims. And he asks, have we forgotten so soon our Quranic lessons where we are being admonished to greet each other with peace? So different thoughts being shared on the matter. But what is your quick reflection on what transpired yesterday?
Today is a very dark day.
Is that why you are dressed in red?
Yes. Dark day because what happened yesterday ought not to have happened. And I'll use the opportunity to give a small narrative regarding how intolerant, how the police in this country have decided to use brute force and firearms anytime a group of Ghanaians, be it students or civilians, decide to register their protestation by way of holding a procession. One, sometime last year, young students from, I think, St. Monica's in Kumasi or St. Louis, formed 3 students during the COVID times. We are still in COVID though. But initially they were asked to go home. Then, I think about 4 p.m., information came that they should stay on campus. And the students felt that when the information came that they should go home, they are prepared, packed their trunks and chop boxes and brought some even to the roadside. Some were even in a vehicle ready to go. So they should be allowed to go home and return maybe a couple of days later. They had to call in the police to brutalize those students.
Are you suggesting the intent was to brutalize them?
But they were brutalized to the extent that...
Yes, but it's one thing saying they were eventually brutalized,
yes,
and another suggesting that
but
the whole idea was to go out of protest.
I'm painting a picture.
Right.
How does a disagreement by a group of girls, SS3 girls, result in you bringing in a whole police force to mete out brutalities to them? To the extent that I had to file a urgent question in Parliament directed at the regional minister who came to Parliament to brief us on that matter. And it happened at night. Just a couple of weeks ago, accidents have been happening in front of the Kumasi Islamic School.
Right, Islamic SHS.
Yes. For some time. the student leadership decided to register their protestation and call on the Metro Urban Manager Director to come and do something about it. They poured onto the streets in front of their school. Eventually, police have had to come in. Even where these school children were running away from danger, police chased them and visited brutalities on them. I'm painting a picture. When somebody is a fugitive from danger, you don't chase him. But they were chased. They used live bullets. In Parliament, just last year, when we, on the side of the minority, decided to register our protestation by staging a walk within our rights to the offices of the Electoral Commission, we were brutalized. Please, ACP, what's his name? Kwesifori, led the team to brutalize us opposite Ridge Hospital.
I got brutalized. He led a team.
Why? He led the team?
It would suggest that the intent of
he led the team. I was there. So I'm narrating hard facts. Even though he claimed that he had gone to court at the time, he ignored his court proceedings and court processes and came to brutalize us as MPs. I was brutalized. Kwesifori.
I'll get to an interesting point when you land, because
hold on,
there are other antecedents, but you go ahead.
Hold on. Now, this group served notice that they will stage their demonstration to register their protestation. They have had discussions with the Ghana Police Service. There have been agreements and disagreements. Eventually, you went to court. Court is for all of us. You move your application, they will post it competently. The court found a middle way, which didn't suit the organizers. So what did they do? They quickly went back to court and had recourse to the remedy available to them in law by appealing the decision immediately and filing a stay of proceedings.
Right. It is interesting you bring that up, and I want us to
we'll deal with that.
Go ahead.
So clearly, this was the demonstration that was supposed to be peaceful. I've also sent you a couple of pictures. Who came to cycle carrying lorry tire on his head to participate in the demonstration? Who came there? The Ghana Police Service has a station at Cycle under the bridge. So if lorry tire was brought there to be bent, no protester came to Cycle from home carrying a lorry tire to come and bend, or stones.
I'm just making a point.
And I'll tell you, I've sent you a picture that depicted a policeman in full combat armor and regalia holding stone from the belly of the police anti-riot vehicle and hurling it.
Do you know the backstory to that? Let me just give you the backstory to that before you.
Let me finish.
No. Let me. You've made mention of that. I may forget.
Take note.
For the benefit of those who have seen that, picture. So, per the account of our man on the ground, our reporter, what happened was, yes, it's a bit, and this is being very fair to both sides. When you see him about to throw the stone from the belly of the anti-riot vehicle, it would suggest a police officer throwing this. But what our reporter told us was that he was right there. The demonstrators had thrown stones at him in his vehicle, so he had to duck. And when he did so, it has a hatch where the person comes out and goes back in. Some fell through the hatch. And when he came out, that was the unprofessional part. When he came out, he also picked some of those that had fallen him. But he's also a human being. You get it, the reaction. And threw it back at them, which he shouldn't have done, professionally speaking. But I'm just saying that is the backstory to that photograph. Please go ahead.
You see, as a trained professional, who is as a trained
I agree with you on the professional level, but I'm just giving you the background.
But the evidence that we see, you are giving a background, but the evidence shows that he is throwing the stone, captured on camera.
Also.
All right?
Only.
So, look, the Ghana Police Service, and I've seen the video where the IGP was briefing over the 1,000 contingent deployed yesterday.
So that's clearly, the picture, that's the picture on your screens that is being referred to.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the evidence. There's no other evidence apart from this. So whether
so he came there also with stones.
Look,
that's what you're saying.
Yes. Why? They can load this vehicle with stones.
So no, I'm just asking.
We share that photo, of course, courtesy of Ghana Broadcasting.
So my brother,
are you saying,
my brother,
that he came there with stones?
Yes. Is it not possible? When I look at this,
and that's a question I was posing this morning. Are you suggesting this police officer came in the anti-riot vehicle with stones already in the...
They actually infiltrated
you admitted that they didn't come there with tires
please.
and stones.
No, I said our demonstrators. Because if any person who intended to participate in yesterday's
that is a difficult argument.
Carried a lorry tie, okay, from home yesterday, he wouldn't have even made it to cycle. It was even not possible for you to carry a lorry tie from home to cycle to bed.
So how
it was possible, but
how did they get the lorry tires then?
Thank you. That's the point I'm making.
As for the stones, there are some around. So
I suspect the police coordinated all that. Look,
Roxanne, wait. I'm sorry. You're a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer.
This kind of assertion
No. Akakpo.
The police coordinated what happened so that they themselves can appear to be.
Why?
Wow.
Why? You think it's not possible?
No, it's. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Thank you.
I am saying it is a rather far-fetched.
Rather far-fetched. That is the allegation I am making.
Wow.
And I want them to deny it. Because the IGP was very clear that if you go, treat those people as yourselves the way you expect to be treated when you are on the other side.
Nice.
And I like that expression from the IGP.
Thank you.
He said, treat them as Ghanaians. The police should tell me how the ties were gathered and set ablaze when over 1,000 police force were deployed yesterday. Along right from the headquarters of the police service all the way to Circle. How was that possible?
They said over 500 of them were deployed.
Over 500?
At least I'm giving you the official figure they gave us.
I saw the numbers yesterday. Why?
I'm just assuming.
They can under-declare.
Oh my goodness.
They can under-declare. The numbers we saw yesterday were simply, look, the number of policemen were nearly as the numbers of the demonstrators.
Then that is good policing.
That's not good policing. That's abuse of power.
No.
And
it would have been bad if they didn't have appropriate numbers on the ground.
This also happened. They deploy men amongst the demonstrators and allow them to wear red. I have also sent you a photograph. We spotted some of them before the procession began within the offices that they have under under the overhead at Circle. I've sent you that photograph. So yesterday, when the commander of the contingent, the anti-riot contingent, should be resigning this morning, because clearly what he and his men came to do was in clear variance with what the IGP instructed.
So you admit then
yes.
that was not the IGP, whatever.
Because I saw the IGP's instructions.
Okay.
So I cannot blame IG this morning.
Right.
I will blame the leaders.
I'm sending one of the photos you've sent me to my producer because I think the other two we've shown already.
Yes.
I'm sending this one to him so we give everybody, fair briefing, which suggests, and I don't know what you're trying to insinuate from this photo, but my producer, I'm just sending that to him now so we can take a look at it and have you make whatever assertion.
I can even argue that the pictures from him are also doctored.
This photograph.
I can
even yesterday,
make that argument.
For our people to take photographs of some of the police brutalities, they were prevented. They were prevented.
But the media were also...
Yes, a lot of the footages you saw came from the media houses.
Yes.
From our own people. They wouldn't allow you to photograph them.
Really?
They deployed men who were not even, who are not even passed out from the training school.
Are you sure?
What are you talking about?
And what is your proof on this? Where is your proof?
Yesterday.
That they deployed men who haven't even gone.
Yes, who are in that training. Who are in that training from Tesano.
Where is your proof?
Yesterday by this time, they were on.
Watson, where is your proof?
Listen, yesterday by this time, I was on my way to the office, okay, to see the demonstrators and then move to the office. They were on about 30 to 40 motorbikes. Young motorbikes looking like Okada but black. All right? And they rode from Tesano and came to join the riot gang here.
So the information that you see them coming from there means...
No. The information we had was that to the extent that they needed more men, they had to deploy some of their trainees to assist them. And I want to ask whether this is regular.
No, but you know that sometimes there are police officials who go for further training at the depot. So it's not necessary that
when you are under training, these are not the chief inspectors who are being trained to be.
You have no idea.
You see, we have to err on the side of caution. You don't know that for a fact.
I know it for a fact.
Oh, you know it for a fact.
Let them deny.
So where is your proof?
Let them deny.
You are almost saying that.
No, let them deny.
Let me do this.
I am making.
As a lawyer,
yes, I am
making. You are a lawyer. I'm a student.
I can allege.
If you allege,
yes, I can allege.
What must you do?
Yes,
I am on you.
Oh, yes.
So
let them recant. Let them recant. If they recant, I'll produce.
No. But that's not how it works.
No, it works
in a court of law. You have alleged.
No, yes, I have made allegation. Have you heard from them? You haven't heard from them.
No, but we are.
So let them admit or deny. Then we take it next.
Your photo is ready.
Yes.
Let's take a look at what Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekbo is speaking of. So that is the photograph, and you arrow there the person in red.
Yes.
Entering.
Yes, and there were so many of them. There were so many of them wanted to take photographs. They won't allow us. But this one, somebody succeeded, and these were the people who were peltering the stones later on. Some of them that were apprehended and handed over, and yet they won't handcuff them. They march them away. They give them a protection in a circle and march them away.
So you are suggesting that these people were infiltrators. They infiltrated the riot
and perpetrated some of the brutalities or the violence that is being attributed to the organizers.
So the police but I have hold on. Yeah. I have an interesting question for you.
Yes.
If these people were brought together by the Ghana Police Service,
yes,
as you allege or suggest, how come they ended up injuring members of the police service? Because that's what they did. The stones they threw and all of that. They injured the police officers
into a crowd.
Was that also planned?
Well, they may not have anticipated that when you ask people to start to ignite something that will catch fire, they didn't anticipate that when you throw stone into a crowd, it may hit one of your own. Why?
How?
What are you saying?
This is preposterous, really. I mean,
don't say preposterous. Police service, what the police service did yesterday was contrary to the... And I'm making that point clear.
I think this is one of your lowest points.
Never.
The way
we are so angry.
The way you are stretching.
No, Kisi, listen, don't trivialize what happened yesterday.
We have to give respect.
What happened yesterday,
which was there to protect the people.
When you were speaking, I was very quiet.
No, but your arguments are a bit.
I am not making argument. I am narrating facts.
Okay,
go ahead.
As things that we think happened.
Then it's not fact. If you think it happened, it's not a
fact.
See,
no, I'm saying that out of the nearly 1,000 persons who trooped to circle yesterday, nobody came with a lorry tie to burn.
Or stones to throw.
Or stones to throw.
But there were stones thrown.
Thank you.
And the fact is that tires got bent, true or false?
Where did the tires come from?
No. I'm not here to...
The police are cordoned. They are cordoned. You see, let me finish.
Tires were bent.
They are cordoned off and offer security around the entire area. Nobody could have brought a lorry tie. Where did the tires emerge from?
So they came from the police depot?
Why?
The tires...
Who brought them?
Wow.
They are alleging that we burnt ties.
Alleging or we have all seen?
Hold on. You saw ties burning.
Yes.
And the police is alleging. Hold on. It's an allegation. Did they see the protesters setting fire to the ties?
Whoa.
You saw ties burning.
So
then you are alleging that it was
the argument
a protest.
here,
Yes.
from what you're saying is that those captured burning the tires should be checked and that they are police people.
Thank you.
Thank
you. That's the point I'm making.
That is.
And how come they were able to to go through the crowd with their tires in hand, deposited them, and set fire to it when there were policemen around?
There are trotro stations there. And the you know, a lot of these.
No trotro work yesterday, Kisi.
No, but the station was there, and they
yes, but they didn't work yesterday. Were you there? You were not there. They did no trotro work yesterday. Under that
so at the trotro station, there's no likelihood of having tires there. Is that what you're saying?
There are likelihood. So why didn't the police check? Because we are supposed to coordinate and check.
So Roxanne, I just want you to take a brief look. Look at those gentlemen there, by the tires.
Yes.
Are you suggesting these gentlemen were planted by the police, or planted maybe not by the police, but some other people who wanted to mar the
what other?
Look at those gentlemen.
What other reason will make the police not arrest these people? Look at where the police were standing.
I don't know, but you see, you are the same people who would say that. Hold on. You are the same people who would say that the police should have been measured. Now, look at this footage.
But arresting.
Just look at this footage we are showing you.
Oh.
You see the police standing at a distance, and the people are getting ready to burn tires.
No, Akakpo, exactly my point. Because burning tire is not part of the protocols agreed on for the demonstration. So when you burn tires, when you pelter people, that's an offense.
So what did you want them to do?
So the police should have arrested the people. That is why we are saying that the persons who engaged in this were persons that were known to the police. Because they wanted to do this to give the demonstration a bad name, like they are doing this morning. I tell you no lie.
That is not a fact.
That's not a fact. So why didn't the police arrest the people?
It happened, but you know.
So why didn't the police arrest the people?
Management.
Okay, I think Dr. Adumako Kisi, come in now.
You are heckling me. The two of you are heckling me. You won't let me.
How are we heckling you? I've heckling you more than enough time. Do you know how many minutes you spent talking?
You were coming in and coming in and coming in. So I want to say that our civil liberties will not be trampled upon in this country.
Agree.
The police brutalities being meted out to our people is far too many.
Okay.
And it has to end. When a group of people decide to express their displeasure, their misgivings by holding peaceful demonstrations, we ought to allow them. Even in Somania, people who are protesting against the high rate of their ECG bills, you unleash police on them.
I'm assuming that Bernard Mona was in black. I'm assuming that he was in black, right?
What is this?
No, you said that those who came in red T-shirts. Bernard Mona was in red T-shirt. So that argument you made is definitely not true. Because Bernard
Did you
was
listen
in
to
red.
my argument? I said
No.
All of us, we were all encouraged to be in red. So we prepared red T-shirts. Red T-shirts.
Okay, but then you're saying that police...
Yes,
the ones
but so listen to me carefully.
Okay.
And the police knew. They have this intelligence. So if you want to infiltrate the people, you give red T-shirt to your people for them to mingle.
Let me come in here.
Unnoticed.
It's interesting though, as you react, how would you react to the photo that we showed of that person, entering where the police officers were without, appearing to be someone who had been apprehended or anything? What picture does that paint to you?
No, I think that, one, policing has so many facets. And clearly, we don't know who this person was following. Maybe he had been asked to come in for questioning. We don't know. And it's what is actually rather beautiful is the fact that, from what he's saying, the police were, guarding these people. And I think it was appropriate because they didn't want to send a signal to the other demonstrators that police was being very brutal. So in one breath, policing doing the appropriate thing of not being brutal is a problem for you. And that is a huge...
Because evidence, we've seen evidence where even persons they identify as amongst us, at the time of being arrested and handcuffed, they were still slapping the person. They were brutalizing the person.
This.
Even whilst the person was being brought. Yes.
No, there is an instance where a locked with locks.
Yes.
A gentleman with locks had been apprehended by the police and he was dealt a slap by another one. But other people quickly intervened.
This still buttresses my point. Listen, I really think that maybe in the future, demonstrators have to be registered. Okay.
Demonstrators have to be registered.
Yes. And that will
how do you do that?
No,
have mammoth crowds, tens of thousands of people.
I am not surprised the way you are getting a court to now say that we can only demonstrate within a certain time frame in this country.
Then we'll know that
a court of law says that we can only demonstrate between 8 p.m.
know that these
8 a.m.
were police
and 4 p.m. in this country.
So my other key point, which buttresses
you can hold a vigil at night, but we can't hold a procession at night.
Honorable. The key point here is that we are singing a similar song. Policing needs further training. And then those actors who are doing demonstration also need to manage themselves well. And it's
so bottom line. But let me ask you an interesting question. I have to go to Dr. Adam.
Let me rebut quickly. Let me rebut quickly. Our police are properly trained. We are one of the best in the world.
There's never enough training.
Yeah, we are one of the best in the world. No,
I'm not talking about not being one of the best.
Yeah, we are one of the best in the world.
There's never enough.
For yesterday's program, we were properly trained for it. IGP was very, very express.
No, training is not just
hold on.
It's how you manage the crowd.
You created the impression
crowd management.
You created the impression that they were deficient in managing yesterday. They were not. They simply disregarded IGP's instructions and did what they had to do yesterday on the grounds.
All right. Point made. I have a simple question for you from the legal point of view.
Yeah.
When looking at the roundabout in court,
yes,
the court, I feel, did the right thing because our law guarantees this right and allowed the people to demonstrate. But at the same time, the Ghana Police Service had said that, look,
but that right was placed in check yesterday.
Hold for me. Looking at the fact that the circumstances and maybe how charged the situation could get. And they also suggest that, look, terrorist threats and this and that, let's limit it. The demonstrators went beyond 4 p.m., but let's not even talk about that. The point is, the court stipulated something. You went for a stay.
Yes.
What does that do? Does it quash what the court had decided?
It does not.
That's the point I want you to answer.
It does not. It does not quash what the court has decided.
So they should have stuck to what the court said. The route, go to Independence Square and do 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that also?
I agree with you. That as a lawyer and somebody who has practiced for many years.
Thank you.
I agree that the filing of stay does not
negate
the
ruling,
the substantive court directive. But that directive from that order by the court was, with all due respect to the court, a bit unreasonable.
But that is
a bit unreasonable because the court is saying that, for instance, between 8 a.m. and 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. you cannot demonstrate. That's what it suggests. If the court had said that you could demonstrate up to 6 p.m., I would have found some favor with that. But to say that the demonstration
managing in
could only start from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., I had a problem with that.
Okay, so bottom line,
with that.
They should have stuck to the court's directives.
Yes,
on
I
that,
agree.
But you had a problem with the ruling. Fine. Thank you very much. Let me bring in Dr. Adam Bona, a security analyst. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation. In about a minute or two maximum, give us your reflection on what transpired yesterday, and I'll walk you through the police statement on this matter and certain actions they mean to take, and we'll discuss it from there. But your quick reaction, first of all.
Well, yes, good morning and good morning to your panelists in the studio. My reaction, I would say, what happened yesterday, some of us foresaw that some days before yesterday, and some of us took it upon ourselves to call the leaders of the demonstrators, the Arise Ghana, call some of them and have a conversation with them. Because then I had sensed that there was too much confusion in the air. And you heard the Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Dafiamako, who is a lawyer, saying that the fact that they had gone, I'm not a lawyer, but once you practice security, you work, with all manner of, issues. Once they had gone for a stay of execution, that would not automatically set aside what the court had ruled for them to have done. And so in one breath, I had heard some lawyers who were probably part of the demonstrators actually saying that once they had gone for a stay of execution, that meant that they could, go to stick to their original, what do you call it, route or riot. And I thought someone would have to let them know that once they do that, there was going to be confusion. And so what we saw yesterday was just anarchy, chaotic, and the throwing of stones, burning of tires. It moved from, a position of crowd control to a position of riot control. And the moment you get to riot control, you can read literature, review other videos from all over the world. The moment it goes into the realm of riot control instead of crowd control, then these things we saw yesterday are bound to happen. But fortunately, we didn't have any serious injuries. We didn't have any fatalities, which I thought is good. But mine is that, Ben, the reason why the people went out there yesterday to demonstrate, I would have wished that is what we would have been discussing since yesterday to today. This discussion is not concentrating on the hardship we are faced with. It's not talking about the fuel. It's not talking about the high cost of living in the country. And so we are
Which
sitting
are
on
the
a
fair
time
points, the very background, the very basis
Yes.
for the demonstration.
And the reason why I am slotting that in is because we are sitting on a time bomb. We are sitting on a gunpowder that is just waiting for someone to light it. Because then the idea of the demonstration is to highlight the challenges all of us, everybody in this country. You go to the petrol pump, you go to the market, cost of living is gone up, skyrocketed. This discussion we are having is not talking about what can we do, what can the executive, the president, who Ghanaians voted for, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who, can do some magic to probably bring hope to the country. What can he do? Once that discussion is not going on, believe you me, I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but what I foresee is that we are going to have series of demonstrations, series of picketing, because this would have been a fine opportunity to get the leaders to listen. But unfortunately, it's been a discussion between the demonstration, we are discussing the demonstrators and the police. Meanwhile, these two groups have nothing to do with how this country is run. This discussion is not going to reduce the fuel, would not bring down prices, and it can only probably widen the gap. So mine is that, Ben, whilst we are talking about what happened and what went wrong yesterday, I would advise the leaders of the demonstrators to stick to the original plan of highlighting the challenges we are all faced with, whether you belong to A, you belong to P, you don't belong anywhere, we are all in this together. So they should probably listen to the police, and so that by the end of today, Ben, we will be discussing why they went on the demonstration. At the moment, since yesterday, I have been so tired talking to the media, talking to the police, talking to the demonstrators. I'm so tired, but we haven't really spoken about why they went on the street.
Right.
And so anyone who had an injury yesterday, anyone who was injured, whether it be the person, a police officer, or a demonstrator, I'll tell you that probably might have gotten injury for nothing. So let's discuss, once we are discussing what happened yesterday, let's also discuss the challenges we are faced with in the country, or else things would get out of hand we might not be able to control.
Right, and we'll get into the police statement, but I also just want to, the latest news coming in on the back of one of the core reasons, fuel prices. It's interesting because Joy Business, our business team, from what they gather from the bulk oil distribution companies, what is going to happen, hopefully by the 2nd of July, that fuel pricing window, what is going to happen is that petrol is going to go down by 8%. That is what is projected. It's not that it will exactly happen, but that is what is projected from our interactions with the bulk oil distribution companies. A kilo of LPG may also go down, by 7%. Don't go and misquote me and say I said it will, may go down. So petrol by 8%, may. LPG by 7%, may. But diesel, and this is my worry, diesel is to go up by 3%. That's I mean, it's going to be even worse for those who bought public transport, or if you use it for farming and all of that, agricultural equipment, and a lot of industry. But let's come to the police statement, Dr. Bona. I'll take out some key points. Of course, the police have arrested 29 people. This is dated yesterday. Available video footage of the event is being reviewed by the police, and all other persons identified for taking part in the attacks, as well as inciting the violence, will be arrested and brought to face justice, apart from those 29. Now, interestingly, the police cites Act 491, Section 3 of the Public Order Act, that is Act 491, and says the organizers of the demonstration will be arrested and put before court for the attacks and damage to public property in line with the provisions of that said article. And we saw some damage to public property, the roads themselves, and then, some of the buses and equipment of the Ghana Police Service. Meanwhile, the police would like to draw the attention of the public to the calculated falsehood and misinformation being peddled by the organizers and their cohorts. We urge the public to disregard the untruths and treat them with the contempt they deserve, for the footage and images of the event speak for themselves. We would like to assure the public that we remain committed. It goes on and on. And that is the statement from the police, basically. There it is. What is your quick reaction to the point about arresting the organizers and the fact that they suggest these demonstrators were just peddling falsehood? Because from my standpoint, Doc, I see that both sides are not being extremely truthful. In some instances, they play along to suit themselves, but demonstrators were manhandled and police officers were also manhandled, affected. What's your reaction?
Well, I don't speak for the police, but what I can say is that the moment the demonstration moved, the whole demonstration moved from a situation of crowd control to rioting and burning of tires and, throwing stones.
Would you describe what happened yesterday as rioting?
Yeah, it was rioting, of course.
Okay.
It was rioting. It was rioting. The moment it became very confrontational, violent, the only thing that we didn't see was looting. The only thing that we didn't see was looting. And so mine is that the moment that happens, then the police would have to investigate, issues of criminality, either among some of their officers, the demonstrators and their leaders, investigate what happened, and those who are culpable would be brought to book, because then you can see, properties, destroyed. People have had injuries on both sides. The police have shown us some images. And so mine is that, yes, somebody would have to be answerable. And I do believe that is the reason why the leaders they are leaders to the Arise Ghana movement. And so I do believe that the police obviously would have to have some interaction with them to know. In one breath, I think I heard somebody yesterday, I think he's one of the NDC persons, alleging that some people were planted in the demonstration who looked like police officers. I will not be able to say it is true.
That allegation has been re-echoed by Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekbo, a member of the Constitutional and Legal Committee of Parliament. He's here in the studio with me. It's been re-echoed by him.
These are issues that must all be investigated. It is good. There are images. These days, it's difficult to do things and hide them. And so there are images all over. And so the demonstrators, their leaders themselves would have to be able to, put their own report together, do their own reviews, so that if ever they had an interaction with the police, whatever evidence they have, they will show it to the police. But the issue, I think when I joined the conversation, Honorable Dafiamekbo actually raised the issue of the police should have arrested those who had the ties. It doesn't happen that way. The moment you do that, then you are going to get the crowd more agitated. If you are not careful, people will die. And so if you look at how the police's arrangement was yesterday, they had officers who were in full riot gear. From, some of them were wearing, oxygen masks. Some of them were wearing other, fully clothed in front. Then they had other officers who were not in riot gear, I think, after them. And then, they were in a certain formation. And this formation, usually what happens is that those who are in riot gear are supposed to ensure that they push the agitated crowd back so that they will follow a certain route. And so mine is that if you are not careful and say they should have arrested them, we are told they've arrested 29 people. I don't know who these people are. But whatever the case is, the police have a duty of care to ensure that every citizen, everyone who finds himself within that enclave is protected, including themselves and the demonstrators. And so the moment the stone hurling and the stone throwing and the tear gas, I've had, some people have alleged that the first tear gas was thrown from the crowd and not from the police. According to, I want to remember his name, is one of the leaders of the NDC. He said the first tear gas got thrown. I haven't heard the police dispute it. Mine is that all these things would have to be investigated, because at the end of the day, you can go to the Americas, go to Britain, go to other places. You would usually see these confrontations every now and then, but it is how it is investigated, and probably those who might have committed crimes, prosecuted. And so as far as I'm concerned, Ben, today they are going to demonstrate again. And my plea to the demonstrators is, can they stick to the roots? The Honorable Dr. Akakpo, who is a lawyer, a seasoned lawyer, have mentioned that the fact that you have gone for a stay of execution doesn't take away the ruling that the court ruled. And so we must all be law-abiding, stick to it, so that whatever message you want to put across to all of us, because I think that this is a fight for all of us.
All right.
Doesn't matter.
I'll give you about a minute or two to reflect on what your expectations would be for today, the measures we should put in place, because today I hear they are starting from LWAC, not Obrasport and all of that. So what you would want to see today as far as this demonstration is concerned. But before I get to that, you made reference to that point about infiltration, which I said had been re-echoed by Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo, Member of Parliament for South Dai, that the police itself had infiltrated the demonstrators. And so some of them, though they were clad in red, and there's a photo here of one of them entering the premises of the police, or where they were gathered and all of that, suggesting that maybe this person had been a part of them. We can never know. But is that credible? Does that sound incredible to you? Too far-fetched? Or is it possible? I mean, I just want you to share your thoughts on that.
No, it's normal. It's very normal. I mean,
it's normal for the police to try to infiltrate.
Oh, yes. It's very normal all over the world. Anyone who understands security and how this work is done, if they did not notify the police, even if they didn't notify and it was a spontaneous insurrection, the police would usually always have a standby team because theirs is to pick intel. Theirs is to pick who is likely to cause mayhem, to ensure that the persons who are demonstrating are not carrying firearms, to be able to send signals to, the arresting team, because they have various groups. And so it is very normal. I mean, I would have said our police didn't know their work if they didn't have probably, some members of their own.
So it's very normal, but here's where it gets tricky. Is it normal to, and I understand your point, I mean, to infiltrate so that they can even get wind of what could be happening if things are about to escalate and inform the others. But can you stretch this to the point where some of those same people who have infiltrated are now throwing stones back at their colleague police officers? Is that possible?
It's usually not. No, it doesn't go that way. I wasn't there, and it's difficult. I don't even know, because these are plainclothes officers, intelligence officers who were embedded, who were, amongst this. So it will be difficult unless there is some counter information that says, yes, they saw them throwing a stone. And I think there is an officer who is sitting in one of the armored vehicles who had, what do you call it, something that looked like a stone. And people I've seen on social media, people are alleging. This is what usually happens. Usually in these armored vehicles, you have, what do you call it, stun grenades. You have stun grenades. It's used in movies. It's used in other, when you have to probably break into a place where you have drag loads in within and you want to confuse them. You throw it, it explodes, it doesn't kill anybody. I don't know, because I've seen the video. It looks like a stun grenade. I don't know whether it's a stone, but people are alleging. And what I'm saying is that from my security background, the police have stun grenades. They use them for their operations. And in an operation like this, all the smoke you see would not usually be tear gas. Some of them are stun grenades. They drop them and they explode. And so mine is that it will be difficult to say the police officers who embedded their threw stones. It will be, that would be too stretching it, because why would they haul stones to hurt some of their own?
So in 30
that
seconds,
would be too suicidal.
In 30 seconds, Doc, your expectations for today. What do you want to see to avert a repetition of what we saw yesterday? In 30 seconds.
I want to see the leaders of Arise Ghana demonstration, getting their members, in an orderly manner and going through the routes that the court gave them and highlighting the challenges. Already, we are seeing some positive elements from the area of the executive. Petrol prices are dropping. We want diesel prices to drop. We want, contractors paid. We want the country to work. And so mine is that the demonstration is something that is supposed to highlight this challenge. They should stick to it and not be confrontational with the police. And I will urge the police that whatever it is, the challenges the demonstration are expressing affect them too. So let's judge or let's dialogue. On the ground, the police together with leaders of the demonstration should be seen dialoguing while they are moving, because then where we find ourselves, I think we shouldn't do anything that will destroy the peace we are currently enjoying.
Right. Security analyst Dr. Adam Bonade, thank you so much for your time. Let me come back into the studio. Gentlemen, I want to wrap this particular aspect of the conversation because I want us to briefly talk about our economic situation and the e-levy as well. We have property that's been destroyed, public property, Ghana Police Service, our roads, whatever. We also have the situation about sanitizing our demonstrations to prevent this. We're still teething when it comes to our democratic practice in the Fourth Republic. What would be your takeaways and what would be your expectations ahead of the demonstration starting from LWAC today? A minute and a half each. I'll start with you.
Okay, I earlier on painted the picture of how the Ghana Police Service have become intolerant.
Intolerant. And I also wanted to mention, you quickly remind me, there were demonstrations under the erstwhile NDC as well, where people got slapped, beaten, the same pepper spray and all of that, tear gas. That, right?
I am not making.
So let's not paint the picture as though it's limited to now.
Akakpo, you are getting me wrong. I am not making an NPP NDC argument.
Right.
That is why I have singled out the IGP for praise, and I'm singling out the commander that led the team, the anti-riot team yesterday, for blame. That's what I've done. So, and I've heaped praises on the Ghana Police Service as being one of the outstanding police force on the continent and in the world. We are highly sought after. So, but when the issues arise, we need to speak about them. I am saying, why would policemen use brute force to quiet an aggrieved group of SHS students in Kumasi? Why would the police use brute force to quiet down a group of Islamic students in Kumasi? That's the point I'm making. We don't need that. You don't always have to have recourse to the pensions to use brute force on a group of people who are in disagreement with something happening in a certain area, ought to stop.
So how do we, because on the back of what happened yesterday, there'll be some frostiness between the police today and the demonstrators.
Of course.
Today. How do we
from their statement.
Ease that out so that the engagement
here's what will happen
forward.
Because they have put out a statement and say that today they will be arresting the organizers of the demo pursuant to Section 3 of the Public Order Act. What does the section say? It says that the police have the right to arrest organizers of a demonstration when the demonstration leads to violence or damage to public property. That's what the section says. So with this in mind, the organizers may resist arrest today. So the police ought not to say this. Because after the demonstration, there's a pre-engagement, during the demonstration engagement, and after the demonstration engagement. Because when the demonstration is over, the police will still have to call the organizers and debrief inside.
Okay,
so I expect that they stay their hands on that declaration. Let us finish with what we'll do today. Then perhaps tomorrow or Friday, we can get together and review what went wrong and what didn't go right. And going forward, because as a group of people, we always want to express our displeasure by way of demonstrations, holding peaceful processions, and any of that publicly accepted in law manner
point,
yes.
Dr. Adomaku Kisi.
And finally, they should not resist the group from using the route that has been agreed. Yesterday, what degenerated the process was that they blocked us from accessing through Nima Junction.
That was not the agreed route.
Why? If we have a petition to be presented to the president.
But that was not an agreed route.
Why?
Doc.
So my key thing here, there's never enough police training. I think that the police need to up their training, and I love one thing, that it's a police service, and they're here to protect us. So the demonstrators should also afford the police. The police also have rights. They should afford them the rights, and the police will also afford them their rights. And I really think that the organizers of this program also ought to really talk to their folks who are into protest. And it should be a beautiful day today, I think, and hopefully the police will exercise restraint. Those demonstrating should do their possible best.
We will.
Okay. And to end, there's a huge plus when people demonstrate in the country. It's for me, from a medical standpoint, it brings about some relief when you air out and you voice your opinion.
It's cathartic.
And I really think that it's a process of healing, and hopefully when all this is done, the likes of Bernard Mona would feel much better.
I'd wanted to do this extensively. We don't have time. In a minute, we'll wrap the conversation. But I just want to run by you very briefly, just your quick thoughts on this. The e-levy, from all that we are seeing, is not raking in what we expected. Some suggest 10%, some suggest something just around that. The likes of Dr. Pepra, so many others. I mean, I spoke to Septekwe yesterday. The suggestion is that, look, go to the IMF while you still can. What do you think about that? Just briefly, some 15 seconds. I'll ask you, Simon.
For avoidance of headline-ness, which I've seen on your show.
Which you've seen on my show. So the show goes that far.
The reason why I say that, yeah. So I would say this, that listen, we're in very hard times, and it's not a matter of whether going to IMF or not. I really think that finance ministry and stakeholders should do what is right for Ghana, regardless of the quote-unquote the noise. And if it so happens
should we or shouldn't we go? So
if it so happens that partaking of IMF chest and having the right ramifications or the right arrangements, I'm for it.
Okay. Yeah. For you?
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yes.
Less than a minute.
Before that, the Ghana Police Service should stop acting.
There's no before that.
They should stop acting like a police force. They are no longer a police force.
They are police service.
They are police service.
All right.
That's all I want to say. So they should give a service and not use brute force. As to e-levy, I've heard people...
The question is, should we do IMF or not?
They say don't go to IMF.
Should we do it or not?
I don't know. They're in charge of the economy. And they have not told us how much e-levy has given us. They haven't.
Okay.
What Gabi has put out is a social media thing. He has complained and lambasted the NDC for relying on social media news to making their criticism. So I won't rely on his social media information. If the finance minister comes to parliament to say that e-levy is not sufficient, contrary to the projections he came to parliament to give, based on volume other than on value, then he will tell us.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We had Dr. Adam Bonai, security analyst. We also had the gentleman in red that you see here, Roxanne Nelson, Dafia Mekbo, member of parliament for South Dai. Member of the Public Accounts Committee and the Constitutional Legal Parliamentary Affairs
and standing orders.
Right. We also had Dr. Dixon Adomaku Kisi, Member of Parliament, Anyaso Utum, also a member of the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you for joining.
And now on Health Committee.
It's our
All right. Do stay with us. We have AM Business courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Today, interestingly, the Ministry of Works and Housing is set to begin a dialogue series with the Association of Local Contractors to fashion out measures to deepen local content in the award of contracts for road construction and other projects. Stay.
They see to the completion of various construction projects in the country. But local contractors feel sidelined in the awarding and supervision of government projects and initiatives.
I am the MD for Joyce Approach Limited Company. We are into construction, especially factory building, warehouses, and other storage facilities.
Simon Kwame Buaba is among a few local contractors rubbing shoulders with international counterparts. We equally have what it takes to deliver, he tells me.
It's about time the government looked at giving attention to the local contractor. If we do so, it will create jobs for the teeming youth in Ghana.
Leading a team of local engineers under his company, Simon is concerned about the capital flight international contractors paid in dollars engage in. He's concerned about its economic implication to the country.
There is always the capital flight when there is a foreign dominance of contractors or dominance of foreign contractors in Ghana. There's this issue of capital flight. The money comes in, but the money goes back to those countries like China, Brazil, and you expect the local contractor to mobilize, or we call it mobilization. And when you approach a financial institution or a bank for such facility, they sometimes put in impediments. They want to see your past year total revenue. Sometimes they expect to see, let's say, $1 million in an account of the previous year before they grant you such facility. And
you mostly don't have that.
And we don't have that. And it's very difficult. But sometimes the foreign-based contractors, they're able to acquire such facilities right from their countries.
Sure.
And they come with very low interest rate. So they make the industry very uncompetitive for us. And I would say that for the local contractor, when you approach the banks, they give you high interest rate. Even if they agree to give you the credit, it comes with high interest rate. And this interest rate...
So you feel as if local contractors are being crowded out of the industry?
Yes.
From the banking industry,
yes.
Government to
yes.
So does it therefore suggest that you guys are very extinct in the market currently? You are dying off naturally?
Not really. We are not so much dying, but we are facing serious opposition and serious challenges. And I think that it was about time the government came to our rescue. And if interest rates can be made very affordable for us, it will help us.
Help us understand how much Ghana is losing out of the local contracting, industry if care isn't taken.
To my estimation, Ghana is losing over $1 billion annually to this. If this is available to the local contractors, it can help the government's own development drive. It can help. Ghana is losing so much money to foreign contractors. I will estimate that.
So currently, where do you see the future of foreign contractors, sorry, of local contractors, and why do you want us to, like the nation, to put you guys first? What's special about local contractors that we're missing out on?
I think that there should be enabling environment for us, because for the foreign contractors, as I said, they have cheap source of loans. The government can also set aside such loans, which will be very easy. There are schemes we know in the past, but such schemes is not just easy to access.
The thirst for foreign contractors, Simon alludes, has led to a culture of brain drain as Ghana's expert local engineers seek employment opportunities abroad.
I attended Takoradi Technical University. I offered civil engineering as a course. I graduated in 2018. After the graduation, I had a chance to work with a couple of
Shadrach Oben is a civil engineer. He wants situations to change for the government to focus more on local contractors.
The experience that I've acquired, I wish the government can come in to support the local engineer that we'll be working with. Because most especially when we be with the local engineers or local contractors, we get a chance to have a couple of ideas from them because of one or two things like the language barrier and then culture that we will have with them, aside the foreign contractors. Because with the foreign contractors, most especially Chinese and then Greece, when you be with them, because of the language barrier and the other things, you find challenges with them. So when you gain contract with them, being with them, at times, will have a little bit challenging. So getting a chance to be with Joyce, being a local contractor, when you are with them, working is very simple. You have a chance to be with local guys all around who will make your work easier for you. And at the same time, I think getting a chance here to have a contract here going on, I wish government can come in to support the local contractor that we are working with so that things can move on smoothly as compared to the foreign ones here. As you can see, there's ongoing projects here. We've been in the target from the scratch up to now. We've done a whole lot of things here. And being a civil engineer, if things or certain opportunities given to me, I think I can equip up to develop the talent and then come up with a new thing that I want to achieve.
Government, through the Infrastructure Fund of the APFA Capital Expenditure, made a total allocation of 441 million cedis for roads and other infrastructure.
I wouldn't say the foreign participation or the presence of foreign contractors is a problem. I wouldn't say it's a problem. It is a blessing in disguise because I have been a beneficiary of this. Because a lot of the knowledge, the skills that I have developed over the years, I've acquired them from foreign companies. But my challenge has to do with the dominance.
Government deepen investment in the realm of infrastructure, purposefully under the One District, One Factory initiative. There is so much demand for contractors in Ghana and abroad. Local contractors are therefore making an urgent call for some priority as they cite not just the economic reasons to the country, but also the capacity of them to meet the construction needs of the country's infrastructural design. I'm Charles Aita reporting for Joy Business.
Well, after that look at contracts and how we can, have a homegrown establishment, let's talk some politics, yeah? And as you can see in the background, we're talking about the NPP. They are hoping to break the 8, but it's all about the team they'll use to break the 8. Well, we have one of their hopefuls here, national organizer hopeful, Bright Esilfi Kumi. I asked him about, this name. There are some who pronounce it this way, that way. He says his is Esilfi.
Esilfi, yeah.
Esilfi. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to have you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
All right, so let's start briefly with, before we get into your politics and what you're hoping to do with the MPP. What happened yesterday? The Arise, Ghana demonstration. Well, what do you make of it, briefly?
For me, I think that people have the right to express or maybe demonstrate in terms of what their needs might be or what they are pressing home to whoever is supposed to really listen to. But once it gets out of hand in terms of its organizational moves, because there are certain people who have different perception in terms of political motivation from an angle. So let's just create mayhem.
When you say political, whatever, you're suggesting the NDC?
Is that?
You're suggesting the NDC?
No, yeah. I mean, not only NDC, there are stakeholders who are also interested in this is power struggle, an issue of trying to come to power. Let's make certain things look bad from that angle. So
I even just saw a post from the information minister, well, not from the information minister, but something suggesting that people are trying to create instability on our platform.
Yes. For me, that's
you concur. You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with him to an extent. Now, not necessarily the idea of creating instability, but halfway through, that is the idea based on some of the comments and placards that they were using and all that. For me, I feel some of these things should be done properly, so that once you are going through the process, you are able to make sure you press home your demand according to what you are looking for. But when things go this way, you are not able to achieve at least the idea of even running the whole process. So for me, I am not against anybody demonstrating, but of course it should be done by due process and of course with some kind of order.
Some kind of order. So as they demonstrate today, they are starting from LWAC. What would you be looking forward to seeing?
Yeah. I mean,
yesterday what we saw was gut-wrenching, both from the police and from the demonstrators.
Yeah, I believe that possibly we learn from experience. I mean, yesterday the hunter suffered, and then the animal being chased also suffered.
Who was the hunter? Who was the hunter and who was the hunted?
So it simply means that today we are all learning a lesson. At least there should be some order. I still repeat the issue of order. Once there is order, you are able to really get to whoever needs to listen, and of course press home whatever you are trying to really achieve. I mean, we have done it before when NDC was in power. So it's not as if it is a new thing and it is bad. No, it is not bad. I mean, we are in a democratic environment, and you can, express whatever you think is wrong. But I feel the order should be there, and they're devoid of all these mentality of political motivation from an angle in terms of opponent strategy and all that. So it wouldn't help. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about your politics, because that's essentially why we're here. But when you look at the crop of leaders you have currently, your national chairman who is stepping aside.
Yes.
The vice chair people, there's Omari Wadia, the first vice, among others. Omari Wadia is going again. Then there are the new hopefuls for the chairmanships lost, Musa Superior, among others. When you look at the current crop of leaders, though, what do you make of them? And have they lived up to expectation?
For me, first of all, people perform according to what their capacities or whatever their potentials might grant them. We have limitation. Some are better than others. But you see, this comes with an election in terms of selection. People have to give you the mandate to actually go and serve. If we were just doing appointment, we would have assessed certain individuals, knowing fully well they don't fit whatever position they have been given.
Round holes.
Something like that. But of course, what is happening now is that certain people from an angle have to give mandate to other people, some being motivated by cash, moneycracy and all that. And then so sometimes...
So you admit that there is money filtering through the system that influences decisions?
Yes,
it has come to stay.
It's more or less an auction, not election.
Oh, wow.
Virtually, we are running into an auction instead of election. Because end of the day, is the highest bidder.
That's interesting. We're running into an auction, not an election.
Yes.
But what does that do to our democratic practice?
No. It destroys the whole democratic process in terms of selecting your leaders. If you are selecting a leader and we are not looking at his competency, what he is able to really impact into his followers, and more to the point, how every season has what leader we bring. So the season calls for certain leaders based on what the trends are. But if you are not careful, because we have given mandate to certain people to select, it ends up that
the delegates,
the delegates have developed an idea that if you go, I might not see you again. So let me collect it all. But there is one thing they should also know. When you go into it proper, certain people have given you the mandate from polling station level as a constituency executive to represent their interest, making sure you also map out partnering other national executives to bring opportunities and other development to their area. Then you come. The reason why I said it's auction, you come into an auction and then you are told, how much is your vote? You say it's 5,000. Then we give you the 5,000, meaning that you are going to go hungry for 4 years, fasting. Muslims even fast for 30 days. Muslims even fast for 30 days. But you are going to fast for 4 years because it's business. When I came to you, you said you were doing business with me. And then I bought that vote. I left. Why are you calling me, telling me you need opportunity for your son placement and all that? Because I have had business with you and we have had exchange. Now, coming back to the issue of the national executives as to whether they have lived up to expectation, personally, because we lost 32 seats, when we had the opportunity...
A net loss.
Yes,
in the 2020 election.
Yes, the 2020 election makes me reduce the issue of saying that they have lived up to expectation. Because
So in other words, they have not.
They have not. They have not. Simply because
from head to toe, from chairman to the
no. Some of them. Some of them. You see, the thing is a collective effort.
Right.
One man cannot do it all. Some of the executives, which I can't mention their name, might have done their bit in terms of making sure that if it's administration, if it's other stuff, they have done this. Now, when you look at our youth organizational structure, now Samuel Oku has set a standard, and that standard, it is either you sustain it or improve upon it. So once you are not able to meet up that standard, people have that mindset in their mind. It's a picture in their mind of the expectation of Samuel Oku working 2 terms in opposition when resources were even limited, and then Nanabi also working whilst we are in power for only 1 term and saying he's moving to the next stage. We understand. But when you assess all of them, because of the seat we lost, for me, they have not lived up to expectation. More to the point, there is apathy everywhere. The thing is, you can't just actually see a snake and say it is what? A lizard. When you have traveled to the grounds, in terms of, I started from Yapeko Sogu to Bolebambo, Damango, Salaga South, Salaga North, coming to North, Karaga, Nanton, all the way to Chanapaga, to Sisala is to move Sisala from all those places down to Ahafo, Bono Eastern, everywhere. I'm coming from Volta region now. I can confidently tell you that if we are not able to change some of the leaders in terms of where we stand now.
Which of the leaders?
Oh, for me, I feel that from the organizer, youth organizer perspective, the youth organizer is moving to organizer. We cannot let somebody who has not been...
But those who are still contesting, we know the chairmanship slot is a free-for-all.
Yeah, free-for-all.
Freddie Blay is not going
Freddie Blay is not going. Samuel Oku is not going again.
So take those out. But for the rest...
Oh, for the...
someone like John Bwedu,
okay,
who is seeking to take this up again, and you have a Musa Superior and others wanting to go for that slot, actually, yes. The general secretaryship
yes.
slot.
For me, I feel in terms of experience, John Bwedu is experienced. In terms of experience, Musa Superior is experienced. In terms of experience, when you take Kodia, at the secretary level, you could see that most of the guys contesting are competent in terms of delivering for us. Now, all I am leaving at that point is to make sure that delegates choose who they assess and know that can continue the job. For that side, I don't know who to actually say that this gentleman is good.
Let's talk about this bit you say, auctioning rather than electing. An auction rather than an election.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that in the MPP? I mean, I asked that question because through your primaries, should I call it that?
Yeah.
You know, from the before the constituency,
polling station.
The polling station executives to the constituency level to the regional level, we've seen a whole lot happen. And people within your own party have suggested how money is thrown around and how sometimes you need a 10,000 cedis to buy a vote or 5,000 cedis, and people are promising scholarships and vehicles and all kinds of things. Have you come face to face with this auction instead of an election situation?
Yeah, because I have contested for MPship in Esikumodo of Ibrakwa.
Right.
I actually have also, I was part of the National Youth Organizer aspirants in 2018.
Right.
So when I stepped down for Nanabi, thinking he could do the job.
Thinking he could do the job?
Yes.
You thought Nanabi could do the job?
We'll come back to that. I mean...
No. Let's focus on that. And he's failed during the job?
Entirely. Failed.
He's failed entirely?
Failed.
Nanabi has failed?
Failed. Based on... See, we are only measuring based on previous performance by Samuel Oku. So when you come to Nanabi, when we are in power, Samuel Oku's own was opposition. So you measure that with when we are in power, and then your government is in power, the resources are there and everything. And more to the point, what we are facing now in terms of our youth. And then the views of our youth, starting from the southern sector to the northern sector. Every member of our party will tell you confidently that our youth wing has failed, because it is the youth that drives the whole party. And so once you are able to lose 32 seats, once the youth are not able to really have these opportunities going, you see, one thing I don't like is that a national executive come for a position without any plan of solving what actually is the current problems that we have. If you don't have any plan in terms of policy lines and how you intend to achieve it and how you intend to even sustain it, sustainability plan, then of course, it means that you are only telling them, vote for me, let me just lead you. And in 4 years, I'll come back again and tell you, vote for me again.
But this is it's curious. You're suggesting that your national leadership has no plan. That's what you're saying.
No, I am saying that some of them do not have spelled out plan. This is what I intend to do to solve this particular situation. Everything that is a policy comes to solve an existing problem. So if a policy does not direct to a problem, or is not even relevant within that period of time, then it means that, of course, the leader is only telling you that, vote for me, and then I'll just lead you.
So some of your leaders are like that?
They're like that. You wouldn't see any plan.
And those are the ones who
When
must
Musa
get out.
Superior came to you, I'm sure he spelled out some of the plans that he has for the party.
Right, he did.
Something new that he's bringing. When any of the guys come, they also have. But some don't. They just talk generally. Just vote for me. You know, I have been this before, so push me here. When I go, I'll do this. But I am only imploring on our executives and delegates who are coming that they should listen to all of us. You see, there is devil in the detail.
They should give all of you a fair chance.
Thank you very much.
Right.
They should give a fair chance, not having that stereotype mind that I'm for this gentleman, so I'm not listening to that one. They should give everybody a hearing, because
is that a major hurdle you will have? You feel you will have to go past?
For me, no, because they all know what I have done nationwide. I'm surprised you said you've not been hearing stuff like that. There may be.
So I know
because I have not passed through.
I know you've contested for the MP slots and not been successful.
Yes. Yeah, and I've also, being a leader of a volunteer group in the party that is in every constituency. You don't necessarily have to be an executive to actually deliver. If you have that patriotic spirit, knowing that we have to sustain the party's strength, so that the future generation will come and meet an attractive party, not necessarily a position to occupy, but to serve.
Do you feel disgruntled? Some of you have really served the party, like you were intimating to me right before we came on air, in manifold capacities. You have is it what, MOCA? Or?
Yeah, Mocha.
Right.
Movers for Change.
Movers for change.
Yes.
Right. So you've done quite a lot in the party. It's just that you've never had a pivotal role.
Yes.
Do you feel disgruntled that they've never given you a...
Indirectly, I'll say yes, I feel disgruntled, but because of my maturity in terms of what I have experienced, leading a lot of organizations from local to international, going to about 47 countries, you have experienced that sometimes it is the issue of timing. 6 o'clock is 2 times a day. I mean, somebody's on in the morning, somebody's on in the evening. But one way or the other, I have been wasted one way or the other. I have
been wasted.
Yes, I feel I have a lot. I have not been used. Thank you very much. Because with the experience I have had, in terms of leading the people with a policy line, in terms of solution to the problems that we have, that will bring victory to all of us. Everybody knows that Bright is capable of doing A, B, C, D. But of course, not even assemblyman sweeper. At the end of the day, as a position that Bright occupied this, my interest is not about what I qualify, because if you want to consider my capabilities, my competencies and all that, it is something huge. But
with your competencies, where do you feel you could have been used? Where you've not been used?
I could have been used foreign ministry. I could have been used in any of these international diplomatic missions. I could have
ambassador.
It could be ambassador. It could be ambassador. It could be consulate. I'm able to do that because I've had experience of about 20 years of international work.
Why do you feel you've been overlooked? Is it the politics?
I think that the issue of godfathership.
Godfatherism. You need to know someone.
But you see, I believe that most of the godfathers in our party have their strengths and their weaknesses. So virtually, I tap something from the presidency, his style of communication in terms of content, policy analysis and all that. I might type something else from another person. But to say entirely this is a godfather who is taking me, once the godfather is down, you are also going down on that same day. So I felt that we have to really fight, devoid of having some kind of fashionism here and there. I belong to this man, I belong to this man. That doesn't unify a party. In America, they have fashions. But once the elections are over, they come together as a party to make sure that the country receives that which we have promised them from the economic perspective to every corner. Now, coming to the question of as to whether you say whether I'm disgruntled or not.
Right.
It is not fair for all of you to fight for something. And the idea is not to tap into the benefits, to also sustain that which we have been able to.
But I see from what you're suggesting, it's about what you could have brought to bear.
Thank you.
Right?
What I could have brought to bear in terms of also holding an aspect of the whole system so that we can all collectively achieve that which we have promised the people of this country. I felt I could have been used in so many things. Even communications, all these communication deputies and all that. There are so many ways, PRO for whatever. The most important thing is to serve. The idea is to serve.
Some people have suggested in your party that even in terms of communications, you're not doing well, that you could have communicated better all the achievements.
Yeah, I think that I was coming to that, and there is a solution through my policy. Now, our communication system has broken down.
Your communication system as a party?
Yeah, I feel that every term of office of a party, there are situations and times and what happens. Now, there hasn't been any precedent in this country who actually ran the country in the midst of a pandemic in the history of this country. When you are building a house for your family of 20, and of course, sickness or a pandemic breaks out in terms of all your children are sick, would you continue to build a house? You are not going to build a house. You come and take care of the human resource capacity. That is part of building an economic, what's the name, of a country. But at the end of the day, all the human resource capacity everybody was scared of death. Pandemic has struck. Everybody is inside. People are scared. When I meet you, I can't even talk to you. That aspect of it, the president was able to run, and we achieved other stuff. Now, the problem here is that because our communication system has broken down, we are not able to propagate or trumpet the good things that we have been able to do in the midst of the pandemic to the people of this country. Whatever project that is going on in Accra is not known by somebody in Tamale. It's the same way whatever project going on in Western region. So by now, if a communication system was there or it was institutionalized, for us to manage it like a company, by now we'll be managing the communication and training some of our men, because communicating in opposition is different from communicating in power. When you are in opposition, you can just say any comment without substantiation of claim. But when you are in power, you need technical know-how, you need content, you need communication skills to do that. So I was saying that because our communication is broken, there has been a propaganda from NDC saying that we have done nothing. And it's creeping into our people from the villages because they have also not seen what we have done. Based on proximity of where the information is and where they live in Hamlet, he doesn't know because NDC say they have done nothing. But we have done something somewhere that needs to be what? Shown to the whole country.
Trumpeted. And that is why the new crop must
the new crop must come in because so I am feeling that if I'm given the mandate, I'm going to initiate NPP National Communication Institute.
NPP National
Communication Institute. Right. It should be initiated for us to institutionalize our communication. The idea is to train all the articulate guys and the guys who communicate for us from the top to the village where there is an announcement center. Somebody must be trained in their own language to be projecting the government's good works. And some of the reason why certain prices are going higher, because that guy in the village doesn't know what is called economic crisis. All they know is that I came out and my transportation is high. But when the institution is done, I am saying that we are not building a big house to bring all our members to come and train. We are going to have an office and decentralize the training. Meaning that trainers will go into the constituency, train them, and then give you an ID card as a clearance. Giving you that you have the mandate to communicate for us because we have given you 2 weeks training in our ideology, constitution, policy, and then communication skills. Once you are done, you need content to explain some of the things that people like you ask. Therefore, we are looking at how to create a portal for all the state institutions under our communication system. That is, when I'm here, because I have graduated from our institute, I have the username and the password. So if you ask me the technicalities of what double tracking system is, as to the 3 SHS, and or curriculum, explanation of certain things, and I am not an expert, I can use my username to just log in, and then that portal will tell me, so whatever I'm saying here is the same thing somebody is saying in Tamale or something of the sort. So in the same communication institute, we are going to really initiate allowances. At least people go to talk. Some of our communicators, serial callers and all that, they need credit and all that. But if you have not institutionalized it, for us to manage everybody communicating for us in that way, Anybody goes on air and say, I'm a member of the national communication team, any manner of thing he says goes against.
So that must be regularized, so to speak.
Yes.
All right. So let's start with, I see you started telling us about some of the things you would do or hope to do or hope to see happen, but why the national organizer slot?
I feel that I have done mobilization from beginning to now. More to the point, the Movers for Change I told you in MPP,
right?
It is mobilization. I did nationwide mobilization. Every constituency, I financed it. I was at the forefront. We projected only one thing. I realized that in 2008, 2012, we lost the election out of complacency. We see a mammoth rally and we think it can be converted into vote. And then we all relax. So I feel we have won already. I don't have to go out. So I formed the Movers for Change for the party for only one prime goal, which is what? Massive voter turnout.
How long have you had Movers for Change?
Movers for Change has been there from 2014. Because after 2012, we realized that. So Movers for Change is in every constituency. And what we do is massive voter turnout. Making sure we pull the last person to vote. Until the last person has voted, we have not won. So because that was our problem in 2008 and all that. Now, mobilizing people nationwide with my resources, trying to talk out with them. When you talk about organization, it is by touching base with all the levels of our party. It is about the kind of a recruitment drive that you do. It's about training, building the capacity of people in terms of new dynamics and changes. It's about organizing resources to beef up all the things that you are trying to do. It is about organizing with opportunities. That's what we don't have in the Constitution. Organizing opportunities by lobbying certain things, certain institutions, for some of the followers and the people to also benefit from it in that regard. So I feel that I have the skill. From 1996. We have been able to move the party from... I was part of the team that brought Honorable Kwamena Battles from Swedru to Ablekuma North. I was 19 years then. And then with all these elders, we have been able to work tirelessly. And then I have also had international experience of working for Junior Chamber International, where we mobilize young people, build their capacities. It is a worldwide federation for young entrepreneurs and leaders. So we have been trained in that regard. And the party folks, grassroots, I have been to every constituency. As I speak to you now, I have not been given portfolio, but we have done a lot in terms of mobilizing opportunities for our youth, going to CEOs, giving them, granting them jobs, mobilizing and running rallies with the volunteer groups all over. Because you don't have to necessarily assume any position before you can do your job. You need to make sure that you are also complementing the effort of national executives and the government in your own small way from that angle. But we have gone nationwide, work tirelessly. The party members know that Bright is able to do the job because I have done it with that portfolio.
So you have roots in the party, but
Yes.
what makes you stand out? You're not going uncontested. It's a hot position.
What makes me stand out is the fact that the season that we are in requires a person like me, with my experience. The party has a external branch. You need to understand the dynamics of the external branch. They feel disconnected.
And like in the United States,
yes,
you were one of those. What role did you play in the
communications director?
Right.
You see, so it simply means that they feel disconnected. The diaspora and the China, the Germans and all that. Some also contributed immensely for us to actually win the elections in 2016. Now, some were given appointment because the executives and they came down. But if you want to go critical into it, the multitude of people who are members of the party feel they are not seeing anything because those who were given the mandate or any position were supposed to also connect with them in terms of some of them even just want national service posting for their nephew. They can because we don't have database system to track all our members who contributed and those.
And that is why Brighter Sophie.
It's outstanding because we are initiating a database system for the party. Okay. The party, as I speak to you now, has only the names of people.
Let me ask you an interesting question. If you were to lose, would you still go ahead with these things you're saying?
Because I have lost before. I have lost before and I'm still going.
My final points for you. Uosika.
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 Uosika, but to be will be chairman. Okay. And they're realistic.
So I'm just because that playfully from the standpoint of what you yourself said, auction versus election. People will also come in with their own resources. So how much have you spent? How much are you hoping to spend? And finally, can the MPP break the 8?
Now, I have spent a lot. And I'm willing to...
About how much?
Oh, I mean a lot.
500,000 CDs, 1 million
that's
CDs.
too small.
5 million CDs.
5 million is gone.
5 million CDs is gone.
It's gone. So
hey, what the hell? What 5 million?
No, I don't made it.
Debbie mean so. And I say when you're in part.
I'm a man, a fulfilled man.
Okay.
Not because if party has not given me position, does it mean that I can't go ahead with my business ideas?
But spending
I'm an international
5 million within a party for a national organizer slot.
No, because of that.
Why would you do that?
Activities that you are running, you virtually have to go. You get to some places, the party office is not in good shape. You need to set an example. Virtually, okay, take this one. Let's do some renovations. It is out of patriotism. It is out of charity in terms of making sure that the party is sustained, not for my position, but just to make sure that we also complement government effort.
Can the MPP break the 8?
We can break the 8 only if we change some of the executives, because you cannot make promises.
At the economic turmoil and the situations
with the economy,
break the 8.
We can still break the 8 if our communication systems come back.
All right.
Because we need to communicate some of the things we are doing and why certain things are happening. Now, I'm telling you, if today we should put a documentary of all the projects that government has done on TV, in languages and everything, that can even tone down some of the apathy a bit. Now, going forward, if we are able to also, we have 2 years to go. Luckily enough, on the 16th, once they have given me the mandate, we have 2 years ahead of us.
Right.
And that 2 years ahead of us, we are simply going to make sure we use it to fix. So once we are done and they have voted for me, the next thing we are doing is called healing tour. I am doing a healing tour, both external branches and local. The idea is to go and plead with certain people who are bitter out of the imposition of MPs and other stuff that we did, that actually, brought about the skirt and blouse system in the party, making the communication team break down, not telling people what the government is doing. I feel that once we have been given the mandate, we have to do a healing tour to tone all of them down, to make sure that the party members come together, begging them that we are a human institution. Sometimes expectations might not be met, but it is essential we keep fighting because there is hope, so that we can make MPP bright again. So I believe...
I like that end, so we can make the MPP bright again.
Yeah, make MPP bright again. It's my slogan.
That's your slogan.
Yeah.
Right. Esilfi Kumi, he's a national organizer hopeful. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
It's been interesting having you in the studio. And we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
All right. So that's Bright gunning for the national organizer position in the MPP. We're taking a bit of a breather, but when we return, today the Arise Ghana demonstration continues, but this time from the LWAC Stadium. We'll bring you footage from there. Live footage from LWAC, as you can see in your shot. Hey. We'll bring you more of that right after this break. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. Shortly, we'll be crossing over to my colleague Manuel Kranting, who's on the beat for us when it comes to day 2 of the Arise Ghana demonstration. We'll be bringing you that footage shortly, but let's take some water, shall we? Awake is premium purified water, always treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect size for every occasion, 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 milliliters for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. But we don't stop there. We also have introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go, even if you're going to demonstrate. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake Water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchases, just call 0262 351 251. 0262 351 251. And just so you know, VAT returns, VAT, are due for submission on the last working day of every month. The month is nearing its end. You have to do that. Failure to submit returns or attracts a penalty. So if you fail to submit your returns, that comes with a penalty. You want to avoid that. Finally, rent to own a 2, 3, or 4 bedroom house or beachfront villa in the new Accra city. We all want to get new homes, right? Cities and Habitats rent to own at a price you can afford and at a pace you can pay. Just visit www.newaccra.city, or for more details, call or WhatsApp 0555 530 300 or 0577 911 101. Alternatively, 0557 054 635. Both of them for call and WhatsApp. The Planned Cities Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future. Well, thank you for staying with us. Now we connect with the feed from Manuel Kranting as we go to the LWAC Stadium for day 2 of Arise Ghana. But before we do that, let's take a quick recap of what happened yesterday.
And make her great and strong. We are all involved.
Voices of defiance against what they describe as oppression and tyranny. Some hours before a press conference at the Ghana International Press Center, police dispersed the protesters with water cannons and tear gas. I was in the middle of a live report. I had to run to safety with the crew. 2 people collapsed in front of me.
Oh, sorry, okay, so another tear gas. Let's go. Run. Go.
We rushed to a nearby house where we got some water to wash our face. These passers-by at Circle were also affected.
You can see all of these people, they were not part of the protesters. Many of them had to run here to pour water on your faces. Tell me, where exactly were you before they fired the tear gas?
I had a problem with my Ghana card, and I had to go to DRA to work on it. So me, as a matter of fact, I'm not part of the protesters, but you see what I'm going through. I just don't know. I came with a friend and I can't see him. I had a friend with me and I don't know where his whereabouts. See, this is very bad.
So just like him, we had to run here to seek cover and to pour water on our faces because it was getting terrible at a point. So you can see, what's your name?
Kelvin, I'm Kelvin.
Kelvin.
I was just at the traffic lights coming. I was going to take a Madina car and I was going to take my phone. So I was just heading. I saw people running. Then all of a sudden, my eyes was just started burning. This is my first time experiencing this. And I'm so scared.
Were you part of the protesters?
No, please.
This is a marketplace. And the activity that is going on there, it's not everybody that is in it. So for them to have thrown tear gas into public, in the marketplace like this, so burning, some serious burning sensation in the nose, in the eyes, and all over the face, I don't think it's the best. And people with asthma problem, with different, there was a lady fainted. We had to resuscitate her. A lady fainted here. I mean, she could have just died. And I'm not even sure that lady was part of, this demonstration. In fact, to have thrown tear gas in public like this, it's just not the best.
Police in a statement said it had to use water cannons and tear gas to disperse the protesters after they pelted them with stones and bent ties in the middle of the road. The police service said 12 of its men were injured in the process. At a press conference later in the evening, National Communications Officer of the NDC and a member of Arise Ghana, Sami Jimfi, said the police crowd control measures deployed were orchestrated.
See, the whole thing was choreographed. Immediately they started pushing them, and the guys were going back. They started firing tear gas. And then immediately we saw people throwing stones. And these people were not Arise Ghana demonstrators.
So those were some scenes from yesterday. Today, the converging point is the LWAC Sports Stadium. And we hear it's even affecting those who would have wanted to register for the Ghana card. But today, it's all about the Arise Ghana demonstration. On the ground, Manuel Kranting connects with us. We're catching scenes from the LWAC Stadium. Manuel Kranting, if you can hear me, what exactly is the situation like there?
Zone under the ambit of the Ghana Army. So just across this particular space, we've seen quite a number of military officers and military police officers in their uniforms guarding all the entry points to the stadium. My information is that the stadium itself is under lock and key. What's more, the police deployment quite heavy, armed to the teeth, also just arrived here. And just as you can see behind me, the anti-riot vehicles just on standby to ensure that this particular protest, which is only day 2 of the Arise Ghana's Krum Ayeshe demonstration. So, I mean, I've spoken to a few of my sources in the Ghana Police Service, indeed, that have been deployed here. My information is that there's actually an intelligence gathering process which is currently going on to ascertain whether or not to increase the deployment and bring a bit more of people over here. For now, the protesters, they're just gathering just a bit at the far end, just away from the Elwak Sports Stadium. Now, we've been told that they will not be given access into the stadium, and so they can only gather just around the basic school, around the Elwak Sports Stadium. We're just getting a bit closer to them, and we'll speak to them. I can also tell you that this Elwak Sports Stadium has been the venue for a Ghana card registration exercise. And for days now, if not weeks, the NIA officials, that's the National Identification Authority officials, have been pitching camp here, collecting data of various registrants and also issuing cards to them. We're told that a replacement process for missing National Identification Authority cards has also been happening here. But today, the stadium is under lock and key. Nobody is being given access in there, which essentially means that all people who were hoping to get access into the stadium and then also register for their Ghana card or actually take receipt of the Ghana cards which are missing and so on and so forth, they have been locked outside. Many of them just across this particular stretch are stranded, not knowing what to do. Just in your shots, these are the military officers who are guarding the various entry points to the Elwak Sports Stadium. And they tell me that their instruction is to allow nobody, whether the National Identification Authority officials, the hopeful registrants, or protesters. And so that's what's happening. Nobody's having access into the Elwak Sports Stadium. And just across this stretch, the numbers keep swelling, and that's a combination of people who are looking to register for their Ghana card, and then also members of the Arise Ghana group and their sympathizers who are just preparing to undergo that second day of their demonstration. You remember that yesterday we brought you live pictures from the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, where it turned really chaotic. A lot of the demonstrators, pelted stones at the police officers, and officers also, of course, returned tear gas to them. That's become a subject of controversy, with quite a number of stories and counter stories being bandied around by members of the Arise, leading members of the Arise Ghana group, i.e. Sami Jemfi, Bernard Mona, etc. And then also the police via a statement which they released yesterday. In fact, our information is that some 29 members of the Arise Ghana group, or if you like, the demonstrators, have been arrested. And the police is also looking to arrest the leaders of the demonstration. Well, if today's demonstration is to happen, you most likely would have the leaders of the demonstration coming here. We do not know if the police officers would like to effect that arrest that they talked about in their statement right here on the demonstration grounds. But for close to 2 hours that we've been here, we have not seen any of the leading faces of the Arise Ghana group, which really has been organizing this demonstration. So just to give you a brief of a description of what's happening here, to my right, you have people clad in red armbands, red t-shirts, and so on and so forth. They are members, or if you like, sympathizers of the Arise Ghana group that is organizing today's demonstration. What's more, then on the my left-hand side, and that is your right-hand side, you see other sect of people who really just look like normal civilians. Well, these people, my information is, are people who are looking to register for Ghana card. And now they've had to, you know, stay outside for God knows how long. They don't know what's going to happen, whether or not they'll be given access to go and do their Ghana card. And so we'll try and just speak briefly to a few of them to find out what their situation is going to be. I'll just go here and then speak to them and then find out what's happening. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Doing good.
Okay, great. So what, are you part of the demonstrators?
No.
Okay, what are you doing here?
I came to work on my lost ID card.
Your lost ID card?
Yeah.
Okay, which ID card?
The national identification.
Okay, Ghana card.
Yeah, Ghana.
Okay, so what happened when you got here?
I was here yesterday. I went to the possession, and today I was asked to come back for the card.
So essentially, they worked yesterday?
I was here yesterday to work on the card, and I was supposed to come back today. But when I was here, I learned there was a demonstration yesterday, so they didn't come to work. Okay. So we are waiting to see if maybe they will come back after the demonstration. We don't know.
So this is a queue, is it?
Yeah. It's a queue to the National Identification Authority.
I see. And so what if they don't come? What will happen?
You definitely go back. I come all the way from Asimfosi.
All the way from Asimfosi?
Yeah.
I see. And so you have to go back and then come back. You'll go back home and then return to.
Yeah, sure.
That must be really inconveniencing for you.
Yeah.
Let's speak to a few more people. They seem quite agitated even before we speak to the Arise Ghana group and find out their reactions to how the demonstration itself is going. My boss, are you one of the ID card registrants?
Yes, I'm the one of the ID card.
Okay, so when you came, what did they tell you?
They say because of the demonstration, so today they won't work.
They say they're not working?
Yeah.
So then what are you doing here? You have to leave, huh?
Yes.
Or you want to join the demonstration?
No.
You don't agree with the demonstration, do you? You don't agree, eh?
No.
You don't agree with it?
Yes.
I see. We'll speak to a few more people and then get their reaction essentially on how the situation. Madam, good morning. Yeah, Boko. Ubeje ID card.
Ubeje me Ghana card.
Ghana card. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, China. And when I buy it, it's last week, Rano. I'm saying, China, Sako, Pimene. And now you buy almost demonstrations here and China Saba. Yes, you pay Ghana card near the Bay, near Manyama B. Because I won't need BCC, I won't me find Nebia, won't me find ID card in Nebia, this is Ghana card. It's almost Momudia, no Momunia.
And how, Pa, the way you are speaking? And how, Pa, say want to me?
How me, Pa, because me free, wait, or I'm a Samantha, never.
It's now name say, and then I'm on Yajuma.
Me name calls a marker and tray, and dry by your marker so, and the baby be say, and I say, it's the Emperor Friday and now Monday, or marker and tray. It is the CIA, my dear.
And so that's a reaction, and she's just been telling me in Chi that she's coming all the way from Amasaman. That is just, off the Insam highway, and just, as you're heading towards the eastern region, quite a distance from here at the Burma camp. And she says that they were not informed of this impending demonstration. The reason they came here, even after they were here yesterday. So we'll just get a bit closer now to the demonstrators. Well, it's their demonstration really, which is affecting the Ghana card registrants. I want to find out whether or not they actually got permission from the military under whose supervision of course, the Elwak Sports Stadium has been. We'll just find out from them. Very good morning to you, sir.
Sorry?
Very good morning to you, sir.
I can't hear you, eh?
Very good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good morning, I'm fine.
I see you are supposed to be part of the Rise Ghana group, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the demonstration is really happening today?
It will definitely happen. Definitely happen because we gave ourselves 9 o'clock and you can see it is now people are coming. So definitely maybe by the 12, you see a crowd of people that are coming today.
But you remember that yesterday was not pretty. Yesterday was not pretty at all.
It was on the part of the Ghana police service. It is not Ghana Police Force, Ghana Police Service. They made everything became as if we were not organized. But today, I bet you, it should be very well organized as what we were thinking.
I see. So, I mean, just do you have details on the situation of some of your colleagues? We're told that a number of people are injured. Do you have a confirmation of that?
Well, I'm aware that some of our people were injured, but I believe the organizers are the best people to talk about that. I believe the organizers are the best people to update you about how safety they are or their latest condition of, yes, they'll be able to tell you, the organizers, yes.
Are you confident? I mean, you had a demonstration yesterday, it turned chaotic, and I just heard you blame the police for the chaos that we saw yesterday. Do you have confidence in them to protect you today too? Because we're seeing them in their numbers here again. These are the same men and women that you accused. Why are you still back to them?
Aluta continua. You know what? We have already said from day one that we don't have trust for the police. But as the constitution says, the order, they should be here. But yesterday, when you see what happened yesterday, nobody will say that it's from the demonstrators. We have had several demonstrations in this country. Even when our president, the current president, was part of it. Did you see this chaotic? No, it's unheard of. But let me tell you, my brother, yesterday's demonstration was one of the historic. It has never happened before. Look at the conduct of the police. Look at the conduct of the demonstrators. We will die for this country. Whatever it will take for us to redeem the image of this country, we will do it.
So just as we are speaking, we are seeing, some more buses arriving, containing some more police officers. Just by the minutes, more and more officers are being deployed here to the Elwak Sports Stadium, as it were, and just as we've seen from the contingent on the ground to provide protection for the demonstration. Mr. Maliba, grateful that you could speak to us here on the Joy News channel. I mean, you are joining this demonstration as what exactly?
Well, before I speak, your platform, My Joy Online, have published this morning that fuel price, that's the petrol to be precise, and LPG are to fall down by 7% and 8% respectively, okay? This is a clear indication that what happened yesterday have really sent the right signal, and we are beginning to feel the impact. The question is, so all this while, the 8% additional price and the 7% additional price on petrol and LPG gas were not needed by the government. You get me? But they intentionally kept that price and continue to inflate it just to achieve a certain economic impact or to achieve a certain selfish impact. Is the Ukraine war still not in existence? Has Russia stopped attacking Ukraine? The war is still on, right? But they're reducing the price. What it means is that the government is using that price tag to harden the people, and this hardship they have imposed can be mitigated. And I want to thank Arise Ghana for what they have done.
You think that yesterday's demonstration, regardless of how chaotic it was, is yielding results?
It has yielded results already. Your platform have admitted that what happened yesterday have yielded the results. 7 and 8% reduction.
The platform reported the news, not admission. I mean, that's your interpretation.
You see, it is because it's a major platform. So for you to tell us that according to the platform, how do you call it, the yesterday demonstration have even tell the leadership to reduce prices, I think it's the best. Regardless of what happened yesterday, we are here today and we are going to continue the demonstration. And not from here, we are going to go to all the other regions to send a signal to the government that enough the hardship, they should bring things down. We can't bear it anymore.
You must definitely be standing in and in fact admitting the route that the police have given you today.
You see, my brother, the police are not a law into themselves. And there is nowhere in Act 491 That's the Public Order Act that defines a route, or that gives authority to the police to define what route a demonstrator or a protester can use. Not even the court has that jurisdiction. Therefore, we can decide to abide by that route if it will serve our interests, and we can decide not to, because we are here, because we are all Ghanaians, and we are demanding what is our rightfully constitutionally guaranteed, and the police cannot determine that for us.
That's clear intransigence. The police is supposed to tell you whether or not they are able to provide you protection per the routes that you're using. They can also suggest new routes for you. For your own safety, as they say, they are to protect you, and if you're going to use a route that will expose you to some danger, they have the duty of care to point that out to you.
It is not an intransigence, and the police are not a law unto themselves. They are the law enforcement agent, but they are not a law unto themselves.
So they went to the Accra High Court. The Accra High Court said, use Kwame Nkrumah interchange, Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, Parisco traffic lights, TUC, and then head to Independence Square. They went to court.
All the court, there is a court order. Okay? There's a stay of execution at the High Court pending the determination by the so-called order they got from the High Court.
A notice of appeal.
You understand? Notice of appeal, and that appeal has not been determined.
Well, you are a lawyer. You know that the notice of appeal is not in itself,
there is a state of execution, meaning in the interim until the High Court determine either to uphold the order granted by the High Court or turn it. That order is unenforceable. You know that. You understand? Until we get there, then we can talk about the outcome. But now what I'm saying to you is that the police are law enforcement agents, but they are not a law unto themselves.
But I'm pointing out to you that a notice of appeal is not a stay of execution in itself.
They work within the law, and that is what I'm saying to you. So they can determine to us because the law have not given them that powers, and the Constitution and Article 21 guarantees every citizen the right to demonstrate. The public order law, which is a subsidiary legislation, only guarantees the right to the police to come and provide a protection. In any case, yesterday, did you see the protesters staging any act of insubordination? The whole chaos was caused by the police. You understand?
The police said, don't pass here, and you insisted on passing. That's insubordination, all right to me.
Say again?
That's insubordination, all right to me, because the police say, don't pass here, and you say you want to pass there.
Where should we pass? Where should we pass?
Parisco traffic light, TUC.
The police can determine the route. Okay? Everyone is trying to demonstrate, use any route at all you agreed on. And even what the police said yesterday was an afterthought. And we believe that, you see, according to the police statement they issued and the news granted some of your sister stations later, they said that a call from above came telling them not to allow the protester to use the ring road. Who made a call? So that the police are acting according to orders from the above, but not what the law says. You get it?
Interesting concerns that you share with us. Let's just get around here and then speak to Mr. George Opariado. Well, he is the national youth organizer for the opposition NDC, and then also one of the leading members of this Arise Ghana group. Mr. George Opariado, grateful that you could speak to us here yesterday. Today, what we saw yesterday was pretty much not what you had advertised.
Let me correct an impression. I am not a leading member of Arise Ghana. I am the national youth organizer of the NDC. The NDC has fully endorsed this mass action. That is why I'm here to lend support to Arise Ghana.
This is not what you and, by extension, the organizers of this demonstration promised to hold. Yesterday, for instance, it turned chaotic. You must regret.
Sadly enough, what happened yesterday, we are not asking the relevant questions. We are not asking the police why they refuse to accept.
You're not the police. I'm talking to you. I can't ask you the police question. I have to ask you a question.
So what was the question again?
I'm just asking that. That's not what you.
We all did not set out for what happened yesterday. We were expecting that the police were going to cooperate with us, and then we'll go through the processes, and then the demonstrations will take place. Unfortunately, you were there. We saw that the main road that we had decided to use, the police blocked us, so we didn't have access to go. And that is what happened yesterday.
But the High Court said you should use Parisco.
When the High Court gave its order, we filed an appeal process and then filed a stay of execution. From the level I know, when a stay is filed, what it means is that it suspends the decision of the lower court. pending the application before the High Court. When a decision is suspended, it means that you go back to what the original ruling was. And the original decision we had arrived at was starting the demonstration at 3 and finishing at 8 p.m. So we expected the police to carry out with what the original plans with the organizers were.
Interesting. And the counter argument has been that a notice of appeal and, filing a stay of execution, which has not been heard, for instance, in itself, will not amount to, an injunction, properly speaking.
Rightly so. But in law, when you file for an injunction, immediately the process is served on you. You are injuncted until before you come before a court, even though the motion may not have been moved in court.
Live footage from the LWAC stadium, and of course you see the heavy security presence on the back of what transpired yesterday. Between 9 a.m. and noon, they are going to be massing up, and then after that, the demonstration proper will start. Stay with us because Joy News Desk, which comes up next, will continue with the live feed so that we can get all the details, all the scoop about what is transpiring there. Well, this is where I cede to the Joy News Desk crew coming up next right here on this network. But for those of you who joined the AM show, thank you and do have a good day.